Chapter 85. Bailey Han tapped his slender fingers on the table and frowned. Ziheo, aren't we thinking about launching a new generation of products? We can use this as an opportunity to change the storage model and new packaging materials. His lips curved into a cold smile. It's not that they've turned their backs on us, but that we're going to change and abandon them. Mika Kito, what other tricks do you have up your sleeve? Just use them. Just as Bailey Han was busy dealing with Mika Kito, Su Yunxian came to his office with an exquisite lunchbox. Yunxian, why are you here? Bailey Han came back from a meeting and saw her. He froze for a moment and adjusted the tie around his neck. Have you been waiting for a long time? No, I just got here too. Su Yunxian stood in front of him and gently untied his tie. We haven't seen each other for a few days. Don't you miss me? Bailey Han looked at her. You know I've been very busy these past few days. She smiled. I was just joking. I know you forget to eat when you're busy, so I made some soup for you. She pulled him to sit on the sofa and placed the lunchboxes in front of him one by one. There were his favorite braised pork ribs, ginseng chicken soup, stir-fried vegetables, and a small box of fruit salad. The dishes looked very attractive. Bailey Han tasted them one by one and drank half a bowl of soup. There was a gentle smile in his eyes. Yunxian, it's been hard on you. You don't have to be polite with me. I'm happy that you like it. Su Yunxian smiled and fed him a piece of fruit. Bailey Han smiled and opened his mouth. She put the fruit in his mouth and looked at him intently and affectionately. Han, forget what I said that night. Let's be together, okay? Xia Dong's words suddenly popped up in his mind. I think Su Yunxian doesn't have it easy. She loves you so much. Bailey Han reached out and held her hand. He smiled. Today, we'll go to the kindergarten to pick up Xiao Yi and go out for dinner. What do you want to eat? French food? Or Italian? Su Yunxian leaned into his arms and said gently, let's ask for Xiao Yi's opinion. He stroked her hair and replied absent-mindedly, After sending off Su Yunxian, Bailey Han felt a little stuffy in his chest. Sitting in front of his desk, he couldn't read a single word on the document. Xia Dong's face kept popping up in his mind. He had said that he would give her an explanation, but he hadn't contacted her for a week. Would she think that he was someone who would abandon her after eating her? However, what right did he have to make that promise? Bailey Han pinched his eyebrows helplessly. After hesitating for a while, he still dialed Xia Dong's office number. Hello, I'm Xia Dong. Who are you? Bailey Han. Xia Dong's hands trembled, but her voice was still calm. Mr. Bailey, what's the matter? Bailey Han paused. I've been quite busy this week. He considered it as an explanation for why he hadn't contacted her this week. Xia Dong put her hand to her forehead. So, if you have time, we can talk about what happened that night. There's no need. Xia Dong quickly interrupted him. Mr. Bailey, we were both drunk that night. Just treat it as a misunderstanding and let's forget about it. Bailey Han frowned. He was a person who dared to take responsibility for his actions. If I remember correctly, I was the one who initiated it that night. Xia Dong had a headache. She rubbed her temples. Mr. Bailey, although you initiated it, I didn't reject you. So in the end, we were both willing parties. Just like last time, let's forget about it at the same time. Isn't that good? Bailey Han was a little frustrated. She wasn't wrong, but he subconsciously felt that there was a fundamental difference between this time at the bar and the time at the hotel. At the hotel, he wasn't conscious, but at the bar, he could clearly distinguish. So, he didn't know what he wanted to do. If Xia Dong knew that Bailey Han, a decisive person in the business world, was also conflicted and confused, she would definitely laugh at him. Unfortunately, she couldn't see the way his eyebrows were knitted together. There was no response from the other end of the phone for a long time. Xia Dong raised her eyebrows and said, Mr. Bailey, if there's nothing else, I won't keep you company. I still have a very important meeting. Goodbye. Without waiting for his reply, she hung up the phone. Her actions were swift and decisive without hesitation. Bailey Han was so angry that his face turned green. Before Bailey Han could find a chance to have a good talk with her, his biggest business partner in the United States suddenly broke the contract. He had no choice but to rush to the United States to negotiate with them. It was during this time that Xia Dong was once again embroiled in a scandal and became a public figure. Someone dug up a video of Xia Dong that went viral on the internet 5 years ago. In the video, Xia Dong was pathetically pressed to the ground by several men. Her clothes were disheveled and she looked panicked. Some nosy media outlets compiled a compilation of news about her from that year, especially the incident with Bailey's 2 sons. They described it vividly, as if they were there in person. However, just as this compilation was sent to the TV station, it was banned because of one sentence from media mogul Xiao Qifeng. Of course, Xiao Qifeng wouldn't watch his good friend get involved in a scandal again. At this moment, Bailey Han was negotiating with a business partner in the United States. He didn't know what had happened to him and Xia Dong. Xia Dong, on the other hand, was not so lucky. After one video was deleted, 1,000 more popped up. She could not help it. Not only that, there was also new news that she was pregnant before marriage. She already had a pair of twins. Miss Xia, may I ask if the video on the internet is real? Have you really been violated? Miss Xia, who is the father of the 2 children? Miss Xia, Xia Dong had just walked out of the company building when a large group of reporters surrounded her like a tide. The dazzling flashes kept flashing. She walked forward without saying a word, trying to squeeze through the crowd. A man wearing black-rimmed glasses stubbornly blocked her way and asked a very sharp question. Miss Xia, is the father of the children the man in the video? The crowd exploded. This was earth-shattering news. The editor-in-chief of a famous magazine was humiliated and had the child of a rapist. Sorry, I can't tell you. Xia Dong pushed the black-rimmed man away with a cold face. The man fell to the ground and angrily accused Xia Dong. Miss Xia, even if I tell you the truth, you shouldn't hurt people. Sir, even if you want to frame me, please do it properly. Xia Dong snorted and looked at the tag on the man's chest. She said, I'm very familiar with the reporters from the Daily News. There is no one named Wang Jin. The man named Wang Jin shouted, Miss Xia, do you mean that I'm not a reporter from the Daily News? I have a reporter's certificate. Don't divert everyone's attention and don't pour dirty water on me. Yes, Miss Xia, please don't divert the topic. Miss Xia, why did you leave China for Japan 5 years ago? Miss Xia, all kinds of questions swept over like a tide and surrounded her. The scene was in chaos. Suddenly, a magnetic male voice was heard. Hello, friends from the media. Outside the encirclement, a handsome man in expensive casual clothes, with oversized sunglasses on the bridge of his nose, leaned against a flashy red sports car and leisurely crossed his arms. Bailey Yun. The reporters left Xia Dong and quickly moved to the handsome man's side. He was the second son of Bailey and changed girlfriends every 2 to 3 days. The gossip said that he was recently dating Lin Weiwei, the movie queen. There were as many gossips as the stars in the sky. Naturally, they were more valuable than Xia Dong's scandal. As soon as Bailey Yun appeared, Xia Dong quickly left. When she drove away, she happened to see Bailey Yun take off his sunglasses. Under the bombardment of the reporters, he smiled elegantly and spoke with assurance. His every movement exuded a charming charm. From time to time, he threw 2 hot coquettish glances at the female reporters. Please, take pictures of me to make me more handsome. The female reporters' hearts were suddenly in chaos and they screamed. Before Xia Dong arrived home, Bailey Yun called. Fox, thank you so much for today. If you hadn't blocked for me, I would have been eaten alive. Bailey Yun rarely spoke in a very serious tone. It's good that you're okay. This time, things are very strange. The video appeared overnight and caught people off guard. It seems that someone is deliberately messing with you. Be careful. I will deal with the video as soon as possible. Okay, I understand. She could also see that someone wanted to make a big fuss about what happened 5 years ago. Unfortunately, she was no longer the Xia Dong of 5 years ago. She would not be defeated so easily. This time, Gigai and the baby's identity was completely exposed. It might bring danger to them. She had to be more careful in the future. As soon as she hung up Bailey Yun's call, Mika Keto called. His voice was very anxious. Xia, where are you? I was just about to pick you up, but there was a traffic jam on the way. Xia Dong's company was in the North 3rd Ring Road, while his company was in the West 3rd Ring Road. When he realized that something was wrong, he rushed to her place, but he was still one step too late. Don't worry, Brother Shen. I'm fine now. But I'm worried that there might be trouble at the kindergarten and my aunt's side. I've already asked someone to deal with it. Jiang Dao has already gone to the kindergarten to pick up the baby and Gigai. Then I'm relieved. Xia, don't worry. I will solve this matter as soon as possible. As long as the mastermind was not found, Xia Dong and the children would be in danger. He had to use the power of the gang. In the study of Mika Kito's villa, a hacker's fingers were rapidly typing on the keyboard. Boss, the other party is using a foreign server. Unless we break the firewall in England, we won't be able to find the other party's IP address. Beitang Shen furrowed his brows. Then, a smile appeared on his lips. There is one person who can break it. Soon, Xia Xiaobao was brought into the study. He was holding a small white notebook in his arms, and his large black-framed sunglasses almost covered half of his face. He raised his chin coolly. Uncle Shen, leave it to me. I will definitely find the big bad guy who framed my mommy from the internet. One of his subordinates immediately carried him to a high chair. He sat on it with a serious expression. His small fingers moved quickly, and lines of code quickly slid across the computer screen. Suddenly, he stopped. What's the matter? Mika Keto leaned over to look at Xiao Bao's computer screen. Xiao Bao raised his eyebrows and said, Uncle Shen, the software can't handle this line of password. Look at what happens when I treat the password as a target file. He pressed the enter key, and an image immediately appeared on the computer screen. Mika Kito's eyes narrowed. Killer whale. This guy is one of the top 10 most wanted cybercriminals. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 86. Xiao Bao rubbed his chin. Give me half an hour. I'll find out his IP address. With that, he buried himself in work and continued to think of ways to break the trap set by the other party. Half an hour later, he finally got the answer while sweating profusely. The video address is from Birmingham, England. Xiao Bao, well done. Mika Keto rubbed his head happily. Leave the rest to me. Mika Keto made a few phone calls and got in touch with Tomac. Tomac attached great importance to this matter and mobilized a large number of people to search for information related to the killer whale. After a night of hard work, all the videos on the internet had been deleted. All the media had also warned them to ban the reports that should be banned. However, there were still many rumors that were unfavorable to Xia Dong. Even her colleagues looked at her strangely. However, Xia Dong didn't care at all. She went to work and picked up her children. After the baptism 5 years ago, she already had a good mental fortitude. Mika Keto couldn't hold back anymore. How could he bear to let the woman he had doted on for 5 years suffer such a big grievance? Therefore, he planned a play that would make Bailey Han fly into a rage. Finally, it was time to get off work. Xia Dong rubbed her brows when Mika Keto suddenly called her. Xia, I'll wait for you downstairs. I'll take you somewhere tonight. Huh? Okay, I'll be right down. Xia Dong quickly packed her things, grabbed her handbag, and walked downstairs. Before she entered the elevator, Bailey Yun called her. Xia xia, I'm already downstairs. Come down when you're done. Xia Dong was stunned. Fox, are you taking me home? Bailey Yun laughed. My purpose is very obvious, isn't it? Although the video incident had been resolved and there were no large number of reporters surrounding her, he was still worried about her. Xia Dong heaved a sigh of relief. Fox, thank you, but I already have an appointment with someone. Male or female? Bailey Yun was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He immediately stood on end. A man. What's his name? Bailey Yun immediately roared furiously. Xia Dong's ears were ringing. Mika Kido, a friend from Japan. Bailey Yun scolded angrily, Mika Kido? Was that the nouveau riche? Xia xia, the Japanese are not good people. Don't be fooled by him. Xia Dong wiped her sweat. Fox, you worry too much. He and I have been old friends for many years. Old friend? Bailey Yun felt even more threatened. He couldn't wait to crawl out of the phone to Xia Dong and pull her back by the ear. He gritted his teeth and said, Xia Dong, do you really want to go? Xia Dong was already in the elevator. She covered her mouth with one hand and said in a low voice, Fox, I'm in the elevator now. It's not convenient for me to talk. I'll hang up first. Bye-bye. Wait a minute, hello, there was only a busy tone left. Bailey Yun was so angry that he gritted his teeth. How dare you hang up on me, you'd *mn woman. Bailey Yun couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He sat in the car and waited. He decided to carry Xia Dong into the car before Mika Kido did. He would take her away. Xia Dong left the building. She was afraid that Bailey Yun would discover her, so she acted like a thief. She used her bag to cover her face and ran in search of Mika Kido's car. After a few steps, someone grabbed her arm. She was startled. Mika Kido felt sorry for her. She thought that she was still worried about the reporters. She said gently, What are you thinking about? Didn't you notice me behind your back? It's okay. Let's go. Xia Dong was worried that Bailey Yun would suddenly appear from a corner. She quickly pulled Mika Kido to his car. When they got into the car, Xia Dong took out her phone and sent a message to Bailey Yun. Fox, thank you for picking me up. But I have something to do tonight. I can't go with you. Bailey Yun had just finished reading the message when he saw a Bentley drive past him. Xia Dong and Mika Kido were sitting in the driver's seat. He immediately flew into a rage. His unlucky phone carried his anger and was thrown out of the car window. It was crushed by the car behind. Mika Kido took her to a 5-star hotel. There was a red carpet under their feet and imported roses were placed on both sides of the carpet. A huge heart-shaped crystal chandelier hung above their heads. A handsome pianist was playing beautiful and romantic music. A handsome waiter in a tuxedo led the two of them to the only table in the hall. Xia Dong looked around and said curiously, That's strange. Why is there no one here? Mika Kido smiled but did not say anything. He had booked the entire hotel and did not want to be disturbed. The mellow red wine was slowly poured into a sparkling and translucent crystal wine glass. Beitang Shen raised the wine glass, his eyes brimming with a doting smile. Xia Dong also raised her glass and smiled as she clinked glasses with him. They were eating French food. The dishes were served one by one and it was very time-consuming. Xia Dong supported her head with one hand and smiled. Brother Shen, this place is very beautiful. I didn't expect you to be so romantic. She was used to seeing his tough image and was surprised to see his romantic side. Mika Kido frowned deliberately. What? Have I always been an old-fashioned and rigid person in your eyes? Xia Dong smiled mischievously. I didn't say that. You said it yourself. Obviously, that's what you meant. Mika Kido shook his head. The smile on his face was gentle and doting. Finally, at the last moment, the waiter served the last dish. He opened the lid and revealed a red velvet box. Mika Kito opened the box and revealed a huge diamond ring. It was dazzling. He knelt on one knee in front of Xia Dong and looked at her affectionately. Xia, please marry me. I will definitely make you happy. Xia Dong was too shocked. Although Mika Kito had always been very good to her and even Yisiki joked that he was pursuing her, she had always treated him as an older brother and had never thought about this. She trembled and stood up in a panic. Her movements were so violent that she almost knocked over the chair. She said in a panic, "I'm sorry, Brother Shen. I can't." Mika Kito's body stiffened, but he did not give up. Instead, he took Xia Dong's hand and put the diamond ring on her middle finger. "Brother Shen, don't do this." Xia Dong wanted to withdraw her hand, but he held it tightly. Mika Kito calmly took her hand and kissed it gently. Xia, I'll give you some time to think about it. During this time, you will keep the ring for me. Brother Shen. Xia Dong wanted to take the ring off her finger, but he held it tightly. Xia, don't be in a hurry to make a decision. His voice was still gentle and his expression was calm, but his whole body was full of pressure. Xia Dong felt helpless. Mika Kito took her silent consent. He smiled and put his arm around her waist as they walked out of the hotel. As soon as they walked out, a group of reporters surrounded them. Countless flashes flashed as they took photos of the two of them being intimate. "Mr. Beitang, I heard that you proposed to Miss Xia at a 5-star hotel. Is this true?" Xia Dong reacted abruptly to the sudden change. She looked at Mika Kito in disbelief. Mika Kito did not answer. He held her waist tightly with one hand to prevent her from doing anything. He held her hand with the other and raised it slightly. The sharp-eyed reporters immediately noticed the big diamond ring on Xia Dong's finger. They aimed their cameras at her hand and snapped frantically. Xia Dong's first reaction was to take off the ring. Mika Kito suddenly flipped her body over and kissed her hard on the lips. Oh, this is too explosive. The reporters quickly took photos. They did not expect the scandal-ridden editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine to catch a rich bachelor so quickly. Xia Dong raised her arm and tried to slap his cheek, but he quickly caught hold of her arm. A trace of hurt flashed across his eyes as he suddenly lifted her up in his arms. His assistant immediately opened up a path for the reporters. Just like that, Beitang Shen openly carried Xia Dong into the Bentley. The reporters were dumbfounded, but they quickly reacted. They thought this was just a couple's little fun and were indescribably excited. Mika Kito's assistant said to the reporters, "Please report today's matter truthfully. Our CEO will pay for all the expenses." His eyes flashed coldly and he suddenly said, "I think everyone knows what to say and what not to say. If anyone dares to say anything, he might not be able to hold a camera for the rest of his life." Everyone present was shocked by the assistant's murderous words and nodded furiously. It was rumored that Mika Kito had a mafia background. It seemed that the rumors were true. In the Bentley, Mika Kito had just put Xia Dong down when she swung her hand at him. This time, he did not dodge. Instead, he let her slap his face. The sound of the slap was loud and clear. Looking at the glaring red mark on his face, Xia Dong was stunned. Her anger was mixed with a tinge of heartache. She decided to hide as far away from him as possible. She turned her head and ignored him. She forced back the tears in her eyes. Her eyes were red, just like a rabbit's. Mika Kito looked at her and started the car without saying a word. After more than 10 minutes, he stopped the car by the roadside. She still ignored him. Her thin shoulders shrunk together as she leaned against the car door. She faced him with the back of her head, silently venting her sadness and anger. "Are you still angry with me?" Mika Kito leaned over. He reached out his hand to touch her head, but she avoided him. He leaned back against the seat. His heart ached. At first, he only wanted to help her get out of the scandal. But later, he had selfish motives. He wanted to use this opportunity to test her feelings for him. In the end, he failed. Then, he had to change his direction. He hid his selfish motives and said, Xia, I only wanted to help you. I didn't want you to be wronged. Xia Dong maintained her original position. She did not turn her head or speak. Mika Keto rubbed his forehead helplessly and admitted everything. I was the one who released the news to the media. I only wanted them to witness my proposal. Xia Dong's shoulders trembled slightly. She tried to keep her voice cold. So, you didn't tell me anything and made me stand in front of all the reporters like a fool? So, you ignored my wishes and forced a kiss on me in front of them so that I couldn't run away? Are you done listening to me? He grabbed her arm. Xia, I kept it from you because I knew you wouldn't agree to put on this show. Put on a show? She finally turned to face him. Yes, put on a show. Mika Keto tried to keep his expression calm. I just wanted the media to mistake us for a couple. Xia Dong blurted out, so, you used your status to pull me out of the mire? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 88. She picked up his favorite dish with her chopsticks and brought it to his mouth with a smile. Just as he opened his mouth, she suddenly retracted her chopsticks and put it in her own mouth. You naughty girl. He glared at her angrily. She giggled and beamed. Han, you're so stupid. I'm not stupid, you're too cunning. They teased each other and the office was filled with laughter. They didn't stop until Linda called Bailey Han to remind him that the meeting would start in half an hour. Faced with Bailey Han's apologetic gaze, Su Yunxian understood and smiled gently. Han, I'll leave you to work. I'll leave first. She walked to the door with the paper bag and suddenly turned back to look at his office chair. The once eye-catching pillow was no longer there. The corners of her lips curled up unconsciously. Bailey Han asked, "What's wrong?" She smiled. Nothing. You look the most handsome when you're working hard, so I want to take another look. Bailey Han pinched her cheek in amusement. I'll let you look as much as you want tonight. I wonder if Miss Su has time to have dinner with me and Xiao Yi. My pleasure. The smile on her lips grew brighter. She would prepare well for tonight's date and make it unforgettable. At 7:00 in the evening, Bailey Han went to Su Yunxian's house to pick her up. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Su Yunxian. She was wearing a sapphire blue low-cut backless evening gown. One side of her shoulder was bare and the other side was covered by a thin spaghetti strap that was made of many small pearls. Her hair was tied up high on her head, revealing her beautiful neck. She was so charming that she looked like a goddess who had walked out of a myth. He gently hugged her waist and kissed her cheek. Yunxian, you're very beautiful tonight. You're also extraordinarily handsome, my prince. He was wearing a silver-gray evening gown and his handsome and perfect facial features were dazzling under the light. Bailey Han smiled, his charming eyes curved as he took her arm. Your Highness, your prince will now take you to the castle where the banquet will be held. He rarely spoke sweet nothings, and it was even harder for him to joke around. Su Yunxian widened her beautiful eyes in shock. He pursed his lips and smiled. What's wrong? She hugged his arm tightly. Han, do you know that you're surprisingly charming tonight? When they arrived at Bailey Han's villa, the servants respectfully waited at the entrance and greeted them politely. Bailey Han nodded and ordered, "Butler, invite the young master downstairs." Yes, young master. Bailey Han held Su Yunxian's hand and walked into the dining room. At the entrance of the dining room, a violinist stood there politely, playing a melodious tune. The large crystal lamp in the dining room was turned off. Only 2 small wall lamps were lit. The long dining table was covered with a simple but elegant tablecloth. A pair of large candlesticks were placed in the middle of the table, and each candlestick had 3 red candles. A bouquet of red roses was placed between the candlesticks. A bottle of chilled red wine was placed beside the table. Su Yunxian didn't hide her surprise. Han, you're not only extraordinarily charming tonight, but also extraordinarily romantic. He smiled faintly and looked into her beautiful eyes. Do you like it? More than I like it. She wrapped her arms around his waist. I like you like this. Bailey Han raised his eyebrows and didn't say anything. Bailey E was wearing a white suit with a small bow tie. He walked down from upstairs and said coldly and politely, Daddy, Auntie Yunxian, good evening. Xiao Yi, you're so handsome tonight, just like a little gentleman. Su Yunxian bent down and smiled as she touched his head. Auntie Yunxian, you're very beautiful tonight too. Bailey Yi's expression was indifferent. Xiao Yi, you're so obedient. Shall I carry you to the chair? No need to trouble you. I can sit on it myself. In order to match his height, Bailey Yi's chair was specially made. It was slightly shorter than a normal chair, but it still reached his waist. If it were a normal child, they would definitely climb up in a sorry state. However, he supported his hands on the chair and sat on it easily. His movements were elegant. When they were eating steak, Su Yunxian took the initiative to cut the steak for Bailey E. Bailey E said thank you and accepted her kindness. The two of them seemed to get along very well. Bailey Han saw this and felt very happy. He personally poured red wine into Su Yunxian's glass. She smiled and clinked glasses with him. Tonight's dinner, from the appetizer to the dessert, was according to her preferences. She could see that Bailey Han had put in a lot of effort, so naturally, she was in a very good mood. After eating the fruit, Bailey E said politely, Daddy, Auntie Yunxian, I'll go upstairs first. Good night. Good night. Su Yunxian touched his head like a hostess and asked the nanny to take him upstairs. What are we going to do now? Su Yunxian asked as she nestled in Bailey Han's arms. Go for a drive by the beach? I don't think so. It's very windy by the beach. She hugged his neck and acted coquettishly. Let's go to your room and watch some DVDs together. Okay. Don't forget to bring the red wine. She dragged him out of the dining room and up the stairs. At the same time, a small figure secretly climbed onto the balcony outside Bailey Han's room from the balcony of the room next door. He took out a small beetle from his trouser pocket and stuck it on the large floor-to-ceiling window. From afar, it was just a small black dot left on the window glass. It was very easy to miss, especially at night when the light was not good. After doing all this, the small figure climbed over the balcony and returned to his room. He turned on the small laptop and adjusted the video. The computer screen immediately showed the situation in Bailey Han's bedroom. On the screen, Su Yunxian held Bailey Han's hand and entered the room. The little guy who was hiding under the quilt immediately revealed a proud smile. The plastic beetle was installed with a pinhole camera. He had already used this surveillance method to ruin many of the dates between that annoying woman and Daddy. Su Yunxian turned off the chandelier in the room, leaving only the wall lamp by the bedside. The two took off their shoes and leaned against each other on the soft and wide sofa. The CD player was playing a romance film. At the end of the movie, Su Yunxian lay on his chest and cried. He took a tissue and wiped her face. You're still the same as before. You cry like a little cat whenever you watch a romance film. Don't laugh at me. I'm going to take a shower, in case you dislike me. She punched his chest and got up. She winked mischievously. I just wiped my tears all over you. Are you sure you don't need to go downstairs and take a shower? Bailey Han ruffled her hair in annoyance. Su Yunxian went into the bathroom. Bailey Han had a serious obsession with cleanliness. Of course, he couldn't stand being dirty. He took a bathrobe and went downstairs, intending to use the bathroom downstairs to take a shower. Hearing the door close, Su Yunxian immediately walked out of the bathroom. Her clothes were still intact. It was obvious that she was waiting for Bailey Han to leave. She hurried to the sofa, found her handbag, and took out a small bottle. She poured out a pill from the bottle and put it into the red wine. She shook it to make sure that the pill had completely melted before she went back to the bathroom with relief. Bailey E jumped out of bed. That hateful woman actually drugged Daddy. How hateful. He clenched his small fists tightly and suddenly jumped out of bed. He ran downstairs and climbed onto a chair. Gritting his teeth, he struggled to take an identical bottle of red wine from the wine rack by the bar. He hugged it and sneaked upstairs. He poured out half of the red wine, leaving about the same amount. He rummaged through the cabinets and found a small medicine bottle. He poured out a pill and put it into the bottle. Holding the bottle, he couldn't climb over from the balcony. Even if he climbed over, he couldn't open the locked floor-to-ceiling windows from the inside. There was only one way left. Bailey stuck his head out and looked around. Very good, there was no one in the corridor. He quickly hugged the bottle and rushed to the door of the next room. He quickly pushed the door open and entered. Fortunately, Daddy didn't lock the door just now. He decisively and quickly changed the red wine. Just as he was about to leave with the bottle, Su Yunxian's voice suddenly came from the bathroom. Han, is that you? Bailey covered his mouth with his other chubby hand. He leaned against the wall and tiptoed to the door. He was already close, just one step away. Very good. He nimbly squeezed through the crack in the door. Just as he ran to the door of his room with the bottle in his arms, he heard Daddy's footsteps and his puzzled voice. Xiao Yi, what are you doing at the door? At this time, Bailey Yi's back was facing the stairs. He quickly stuffed the bottle into his room and kicked it. Then, he calmly turned back and said, Daddy, I can't sleep. I want to drink milk. Why didn't you ask the servant to bring it up? Bailey Han just came up from the bathroom downstairs. He was wearing a bathrobe and his hair was still wet. Bailey looked embarrassed. I'm too full. I wanted to take a walk. Bailey Han patted his head. You're too full. That's why you can't sleep. Don't do this next time. Do you want Daddy to play with you for a while? Bailey sensibly said, no need. Daddy, you've been busy all day. You must be tired. Rest early. Good night, Daddy. Good night. Bailey Han watched his son close the door and go downstairs. Only then did he enter his room. Su Yunxian just came out of the bathroom. She was drying her wet hair with a towel. She wore a sexy nightgown. Her wet skin had a seductive luster. Bailey Han pressed a button and closed the curtains, blocking the moonlight outside and also blocking the beetle monitor. Bailey hid under the quilt and anxiously punched the bed. What he was worried about wouldn't happen, right? It couldn't be, right? Bailey Han's handsome features, tall and straight figure, and his bathrobe were slightly open. One could see his firm chest muscles and strong masculine charm. It was easy for women to lose control of themselves. Su Yunxian thought of the purpose of tonight. She smiled and poured 2 glasses of red wine, one for him and one for herself. Han, cheers to this beautiful night. Cheers. After drinking a glass of wine, Su Yunxian's face became more rosy, like peach blossoms in March, gorgeous and lovable. His soft wife leaned into his arms and said lazily, Han, did I drink too much? My head is dizzy. Bailey Han carried her to the bed and leaned against the pillow. Do you feel better? Yes, much better. She grabbed the nightgown in front of her chest and pouted. Han, I feel so hot. Do you feel hot? You're drunk. I think I'm a little drunk too. Maybe it's not the wine that makes me drunk, but I'm drunk. Bailey Han leaned against her and held his forehead with one hand. He was indeed a little dizzy. She leaned on his chest and skillfully drew circles on his chest with her small hand. Her soft voice was charming. Han, my heart is beating so fast. I'm so hot. Help me take off my clothes, okay? Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 89. Bailey Han looked at her misty eyes and knew that she was drunk. He grabbed her hand to prevent her from lighting the fire and said in a hoarse voice, if it's hot, I'll lower the air conditioner. He was about to get up to get the remote control when she hugged him. Her red lips pressed against his urgently. Her hands caressed his body and rubbed his sensitive spots. He thought of her compromise and remembered the intimate engagement photos of Xia Dong and Mika Keto. He suddenly turned over and pressed Su Yunxian under his body. He kept kissing her face and neck. The straps of her nightgown slid down. Han, I love you. Su Yunxian put her hands on his neck and the two of them were tightly pressed together. Bailey Han's consciousness began to fade. His lips were kissing her chest, but the next second, he suddenly lay motionless on her chest. Han. Su Yunxian pushed him impatiently and confusedly, but he didn't move. Gradually, she also lost consciousness. Bailey Han slept very soundly. He only woke up when the sunlight pierced his eyes. He turned over and touched a soft body. His eyes opened abruptly. Sure enough, there was a woman lying beside him. She was wearing a black spaghetti-strap nightgown. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders, and her back was facing him. He rubbed his forehead. What happened last night gradually came to his mind. He and Su Yunxian had finished dinner and went upstairs. They drank a little wine and then got drunk. They hugged each other and fell on the bed. He pulled the quilt open and saw that they weren't wearing anything. His heart thumped wildly. They had done it many times, but they didn't break through the last juncture. He didn't expect that he would really do it last night. He felt a little complicated and panicked. Yunxian. He hugged her back and turned her body around. He found that her eyes were filled with tears. Yunxian, last night, Su Yunxian threw herself into his arms and stopped him from continuing. Han, I'm finally yours. Why do I feel a little sad? Bailey Han hugged her tightly. Yunxian, I admit that I was wrong. You are a pure and good girl. I hurt you. I will make it up to you. Don't be sad. She sobbed in his arms and shook her head. I don't know. I was willing to give myself to you. I should have been happy, but... I'm sorry. Don't say sorry. It's not your fault. It's all my fault. Yunxian, look at me. He held her shoulders and raised her head. His expression was so serious. He said word by word, Yunxian, I will take responsibility. I will marry you. When we return to the old mansion tomorrow night, I will mention the marriage to my family. Come back with me. She cried pitifully. Really? You won't abandon me? Silly girl, why would I abandon you? He stroked her long hair. You have already become my woman. I will definitely take responsibility. She smiled through her tears. Her beautiful face was like a pear blossom in the rain. She hugged his waist and pouted. Then from today onwards, you belong to me. You are not allowed to leave me. You have to accompany me for the rest of my life. He hugged her. I won't leave you because you already belong to me. Then from today onwards, will you not interact with other women? Bailey Han's hands tightened. He couldn't help but think of Xia Dong and how they had 2 one-night stands. But the next second, he immediately thought of her deceit and betrayal. He promised without hesitation, of course. From now on, I will only have eyes for you. Because no one is better than you. What if a woman takes the initiative to come to you? Then I won't even look at them. Women who take the initiative to come to me are too cheap. He said the last 3 words very forcefully, his eyes cold. Su Yunxian cried sadly again. Aren't I cheap as well? After last night, can I still say that I am innocent? We are different. We are engaged. It is reasonable and legal for us to do these things. He patted her back. Moreover, I was in the wrong last night. It has nothing to do with you. Bailey Han comforted her tenderly for a long time. She finally calmed down. Her eyes were red as she said softly, I want to take a bath. Can you do it yourself? Do you want me to carry you in? No need. I can go in by myself. She got off the bed. Her legs seemed to be a little unstable as she forced a smile. Bailey Han looked at her forced expression. He was afraid that she would fall, so he got off the bed as well. When he lifted the blanket, he saw a red bloodstain on the white bed sheets. He felt even more guilty. He rushed forward to support her, but she gently pushed him away. She smiled weakly. I'm fine. I can do it myself. Bailey Han had no choice but to let go of her. Su Yunxian walked into the bathroom and turned on the hot water. Soon, the rising steam blurred the mirror. She used her fingers to slowly wipe away the steam on the mirror. She smiled at herself in the mirror. That smile was so strange that it made one's hair stand on end. Her red lips slowly opened and she clearly spat out a few words. Su Yunxian, you succeeded. Although the situation last night was not what she had expected, the result was still good. Su Yunxian came out of the bathroom. Bailey Han was already dressed. She asked, Han, are you going out? Bailey Han looked a little unnatural. I'm going out to buy birth control pills. He didn't use any protection last night, and he didn't want the servants to know, so he had to go out and buy it himself. Su Yunxian's face turned pale as if she had suffered a blow. Her body swayed, and Bailey Han quickly reached out to support her. She looked at him in disbelief. You don't want me to give birth to your child? He was silent for a moment and said, of course not. I'm just not ready yet. But you already said that you would marry me. Su Yunxian was a little emotional. She grabbed his wrist tightly. Are you just lying to me? Bailey Han's eyes darkened. He tried to control his emotions. I'm not lying to you. Even if we get married, there's no need to have a child so early. You think it's too early for me to have a child? Su Yunxian was very disappointed with his reaction. I'm already 28 years old. I'm not 18 years old. He closed his eyes and said calmly, Xiao Yi is still young. I want to wait until he's older to have a child. Su Yunxian was so angry that her body began to tremble, but she still controlled herself. She covered her face and cried. You don't love me at all. You only think about your son and have never thought about me. I'm not young anymore. If I don't have a child, I'll be an advanced pregnant woman in the future. It's very dangerous for an advanced pregnant woman, do you know that? She sobbed and said a lot. Bailey Han was confused and soft-hearted. He had already been very accommodating to her in the past. Now that she had become his woman, how could he let her suffer? Be good, don't cry. I won't buy it. Let nature take its course. If you have a child, we'll give birth to it, okay? Han, you're so nice. Su Yunxian hugged his neck and kissed him on the lips. Bailey Han wiped the tears on her cheeks and held her waist. Are you hungry? Let's go downstairs to eat. You're not going to the office today? I'm not going. I've already told Lu Zihao to cancel today's meeting and stay at home to accompany you. He held her hand and went downstairs. She hugged his arm and smiled embarrassedly. Han, I'm sorry. I take back what I said just now. You love me very much. I can feel it. It's good that you know. Bailey Han scratched her delicate nose with his hand. She leaned into his arms and smiled elegantly and sweetly. People's Hospital, Lin Shihao's office. Xia Dong went to the hospital for a gynecological examination behind everyone's back. Lin Shihao turned on the instrument and she waited anxiously for his verdict. Suddenly, he looked up and she trembled in shock. Shihao, how is it? Lin Shihao beamed. It's good news. Xia Dong, congratulations. You're pregnant. That's great, that's great. Xia Dong was so happy that she almost jumped up. She grabbed Lin Shihao's hand tightly and was so excited that she didn't know what to say. Her tears flowed uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I was too excited. She let go of his hand embarrassedly and wiped her eyes. It's okay. I understand. The child is still very weak. You have to control your emotions and pay attention to some taboos. What you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Lin Shihao rambled on for a long time. Xia Dong didn't feel annoyed at all and listened patiently. She even asked questions from time to time. The two of them chatted for about half an hour before someone knocked on the office door. It was by Mei Wei. She glanced at Xia Dong and smiled. Xia Dong also nodded politely at her. Senior, I'm here to tell you that the surgery is ready. Lin Shihao nodded. Okay, I got it. I'll be right there. Xia Dong quickly stood up. Shihao, I'm sorry to have bothered you for so long. I'll take my leave first. I won't disturb your work anymore. Lin Shihao walked her to the door and reminded her, call me if there's anything. Remember to come back for a checkup in half a month. Xia Dong smiled gratefully. I got it. Thank you. Goodbye. Bai Meiwei glanced at Xia Dong's back as she left and asked curiously, Senior, what's wrong with her? Lin Shihao said in a businesslike manner, the doctor can't disclose the patient's matters. Bai Meiwei pouted. I'm your colleague and junior. You can't even disclose it to me? He smiled gently. This is the rule. I'm really sorry. He bent over to turn off the equipment and put the examination report into the drawer. Although his actions were very fast, Bai Meiwei could still vaguely make out a few words. She joked, Senior, you're really strict and impartial. Lin Shihao's handsome face revealed a helpless expression. Let's go. Aren't you going to have an operation? Aya, you're so boring. Bai Meiwei stuck out her tongue playfully. Xia Dong came out of the hospital in a good mood. Everything she saw was pleasing to the eye. Even the passers-by on the street became handsome men and beautiful women in her eyes. She took out her cell phone excitedly and was the first to report the good news to Isiki. Yezi, guess what good thing I've encountered? Did you pick up money? Geez, am I that vulgar? Give you another chance? Look at how pleased you are with yourself. Don't tell me you've met your Prince Charming? Xia Dong mocked her. Geez, Yezi, I don't expect you to be as good as me, but do you dare to be a little more ambitious? Yisiki was pleased. I know, you must be pregnant. This has become the focus of your entire life. How can I not guess? Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 90. Xia Dong snorted. You're such a bad guy. I'm pregnant. It's such a big thing, so we have to celebrate it. You have to treat me to a meal. Sure, no problem. We'll eat whatever you want. Pregnant women are the most important. Yisiki was very forthright. Xia Dong smiled mischievously. I want to eat bird's nest, shark's fin, abalone, lobster. Yisiki only said one word to her. Get lost. Did she think that a housewife like her was rich? Okay, I'm just joking with you. Do you still remember the courtyard where we lived when we were young? It's been converted into a food street. The last time I went there, I found a Sichuan restaurant called Mouth Fragrance. Why don't we go there? Sure, but you're pregnant. You can't eat spicy food. There are non-spicy dishes in Sichuan restaurants. By the way, I have to bring 2 children with me. You don't mind, do you? Ha ha ha. Yisiki rolled her eyes. Miss, can I say that I mind? Those are your precious son and daughter. You can't leave them at home and go out to have fun alone, right? With a wave of your hand, it's approved. Thank you, Your Majesty. Go. After work, Xia Dong went to the kindergarten to pick up the children. She also greeted Mika Kido and said that she wanted to go on a date with Yisiki. Mika Kido knew that she and Yisiki had been best friends for many years, so of course, she had no objections. She just asked her to come back early and be careful. After Mika Kido hung up Xia Dong's call, Jiang Dao called. Boss, there's news from England. They found the killer whale's hiding place, but what? Jiang Dao paused and said, what they found was a corpse. The killer whale was silenced. Mika Kito's eyes suddenly narrowed and emitted a dangerous glint. Her voice was cold. Continue to investigate. I want to know who the mastermind is. As long as they couldn't find out who the mastermind was, Xia's situation would be worrisome. They are already investigating all the people who have been in contact with the killer whale. Alright, report to me as soon as you have any news. Xia Dong drove to the Gourmet Street. The Gourmet Street was a pedestrian street, so parking was not allowed. She could only park the car in the square more than 100 meters away from the Gourmet Street. Mommy, are we there yet? Xiao Guai curiously looked at the lively square. There were many vendors selling small toys and children running around with balloons. She was so envious. Not yet. Xia Dong carried her daughter out of the car. We still have a long way to go. Gigai, are you tired? I'm not tired. Xiao Guai shook her head like a rattle drum. She puffed up her rosy cheeks and pointed at the balloon stall not far away. Mommy, I want balloons. Let's go. Mommy will take you to buy some balloons. Baby, what are you doing in the car? Why haven't you come down yet? After talking for a long time, Xia Dong realized that her son had not gotten out of the car yet. I'm coming. Xia Xiaobao closed the small notebook, put it in the backpack he was carrying, and jumped out of the car. Xia Dong rubbed her son's cheeks. Little rascal, you only know how to play games all day. I'm not playing games. He tilted his head and avoided her devil's hand. He raised his chin with an arrogant expression. Don't associate me with those little rascals who only know how to play games. I'm doing something serious. Oh, you still have something serious to do? Tell me, let me hear it. Mom, how can you understand the world of a genius child? I don't want to test your IQ by telling you. He raised his little chin and skipped forward. He was not going to tell her that he was competing with Bailey E and was preparing for the garden party. After being shocked by her son, Xia Dong was exasperated. She roared, Xia Xiaobao. Mommy, don't be angry. Her daughter hugged her neck and whispered in her ear, Mommy, I know what brother is busy with. The garden party is coming soon. The teacher asked brother and brother E to prepare for the program, so brother is troubled. Her precious daughter was so considerate. Xia Dong kissed her daughter's cheek. What are you troubled about? Brother doesn't know what program to prepare. Mommy, do you have any good ideas? Xia Dong looked at the little rascal's big bright eyes and pinched her nose in amusement. Little rascal, this is your motive, right? The little rascal giggled. Mommy is the best. Let Mommy think about it first. I'll tell you when I think of something, okay? Okay. Xia Dong bought a balloon for each of the two little rascals. Her daughter laughed happily. Her son thought that the balloons were too childish and was unwilling to hold them, so her daughter volunteered to hold a big wolf and a pleasant goat. Yisiki arrived first. She held Nyo-Nyo's hand and stood at the entrance of the food street. When she saw Xia Dong appear with the two little rascals, she immediately cheered and pounced on them. She rubbed one's bun face and pinched the other's little nose. Mommy. Xiao Guai's eyes were filled with tears. Why did Auntie Siki rub her face every time she saw her? Xiao Bao pulled a long face. Women who liked to rub their faces were the most annoying. Alright, Yezi, you're scaring my babies. Xia Dong wiped her sweat. This guy was too enthusiastic. The two children were snatched away by Yisiki, and Xia Dong also snatched her daughter away. She held Nyo-Nyo's hand and said, Nyo-Nyo, let's go. Ignore your mommy. They chatted and laughed as they found Mouth Restaurant. As they had made an appointment in advance, they quickly found a seat. The owner of Mouth Restaurant was very good at doing business. The restaurant was decorated in an antique style, and there was a small courtyard behind it. It was quiet and elegant. After they ordered, the children rushed to the small courtyard. There was a small pond with many goldfish in it. They leaned over the pond and watched the goldfish. Yisiki raised her voice and shouted, "Nyo nyo, take care of your brothers and sisters. Don't play in the water." "Okay, mommy." Xia Dong and the others sat in the hall and chatted. From time to time, they would turn to look at the children. Suddenly, they heard a child crying and immediately turned to look. They saw Xiao Guai sitting on the ground, holding her arm and crying. Xia Dong was shocked and rushed out like a cannonball. "Gigai, what's wrong? Where are you hurt?" "Mommy, my hand hurts." Her fair little hand pressed tightly on her arm, and blood seeped out between her fingers. Xia Dong's heart suddenly tightened. She hurriedly held her arm and said, "Gigai, take your hand away. Let mommy have a look." As soon as Xiao Guai released her hand, blood flowed out of the wound like water. The wound was about 5 centimeters long. Xia Dong was distressed and anxious when she saw it. Yisiki was also anxious. Xia, hurry and send Xiao Guai to the hospital." "You go first. I'll take care of Xiao Bao." Xia Dong said, "Okay." She took out a clean handkerchief from her daughter's backpack and bandaged her arm. Then she carried her daughter and rushed out of the restaurant. When Xia Dong rushed out of the door, Yisiki remembered that she was pregnant and was not in the right condition for strenuous exercise. She shouted at her back, Xia, wait." However, she ran very fast and the streets were very noisy. She did not hear Yisiki at all. Yisiki wanted to chase after her, but she had to take care of the 2 children and couldn't leave. She could only take out her cell phone and call her mother. However, no one picked up after a long time. Xia Dong was probably too anxious to pick up the phone. Xiao Bao observed her expression and realized that something was wrong. "Auntie Siki, do you have something to tell my mommy?" Yisiki held the phone and stomped her feet anxiously. "Yes, I want your mommy to not run so fast. She's not in good health. She can't do strenuous exercise." Xiao Bao pursed her lips, her little face full of determination. "Auntie Siki, I'll take care of Sister Nyonyo. You go find my mommy. Can you do it?" "Yes, Auntie Siki. We'll wait for you at Sweet Mouth." Xiao Bao's eyes were shining like a little adult. Even as an adult, Yisiki felt that the aura she exuded was extraordinary. She couldn't help but believe his words. She quickly ran to the lobby and greeted the boss, asking him to take care of the 2 children. The boss was very good and nodded repeatedly, promising that he would take care of the children. Yisiki was in a hurry, so she didn't say much. She ran as fast as she did in school and gritted her teeth as she chased after them. Xia Dong ran with her daughter in her arms and kept shouting, "Sorry, please make way, please make way." As she ran, she looked at her daughter in her arms. The wound on her arm was still bleeding, and the blood had already stained the white handkerchief. She sobbed and comforted her daughter, "Gigai, don't be afraid. Mommy will take you to the hospital immediately." Because of her nervousness and fear, she had forgotten about the child in her belly and couldn't wait to get to the hospital as fast as she could. However, there were many people on the food street. She squeezed left and right and bumped into many people, but she didn't run far. She gritted her teeth and rushed forward anxiously. Suddenly, her arm was grabbed tightly by someone. A man stood in front of her and blocked her way. Xia, I've finally found you. Tell Daddy, where is your mother's grave? I want to see her." Xia Zhenxing was very excited. This was the first time he had returned to the place where they used to live. He didn't expect it to have changed so much. He also didn't expect to meet his daughter. "Go away, I don't have time to chat with you." Xia Dong struggled in disgust. Xia Zhenxing said painfully, Xia, I know you don't want to see me, but your mother. I just want to know where she's buried. Please tell me, okay?" Xia Dong was anxious and angry. Xia Zhensheng, I'm telling you, my mother doesn't want to see you for the rest of her life. She didn't want to see you when she was alive, and she definitely doesn't want to see you now. Get out of my way. Xia Zhensheng's heart ached when his own daughter said, get out, but he was thick-skinned and grabbed her arm. Xia, take it that daddy is begging you. Xia Dong looked at her daughter's pale face in her arms. Her eyes were red and she lost all reason as she yelled, Xia Zhensheng, it's not enough that you killed my mother. Do you want to kill my daughter too? My daughter needs to see a doctor urgently. Get out of my way. Xia Zhensheng looked at Xia Dong's arms in disbelief. Only then did he notice that the little girl in her arms was pale and her arm was bloody. Blood was still seeping out. He immediately panicked and stammered, I'm sorry, Xia. I didn't know. Let me help you, go away, I don't want your fake kindness. Xia Dong glared at him fiercely and pushed him away. Just as she was about to walk forward, Yi Siqi's panting voice came from behind. Xia, wait. Xia Dong had no choice but to stop and wait for Yi Siqi anxiously. Xia Zhensheng asked hesitantly, Xia, is this child your daughter? Didn't you say last time that she's your niece? Is the news true? You're engaged to Mika Keto. Is the child his? Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 91. Xia Dong was so annoyed by his series of questions that she was about to explode. She yelled at him, Xia Zhensheng, are you done? What right do you have to meddle in my affairs? Xia Zhensheng's body stiffened and his expression was pained. He seemed to have aged a little, and the wrinkles on his face were clearer. Xia, I finally caught up with you. Yi Siqi ran over, panting heavily. In a moment of panic, she didn't notice that Xia Zhensheng was beside her. She said directly, Xia, did you forget that you're pregnant and can't do strenuous exercise? Give Xiao Guai to me. I'll carry her. Xia Zhensheng was even more shocked. He looked at Xia Dong's stomach and wanted to say something, but in the end, he held back. Xia Dong just remembered that she was pregnant. She was scared, but she didn't argue. She handed Xiao Guai to Yi Siqi and the two of them walked forward without looking at Xia Zhensheng. Xia Zhensheng was in pain. He thought about it and followed them. Although his daughter hated him, his granddaughter was injured. He still wanted to know how serious her injury was and see her receive treatment with his own eyes. Yezi, what will happen to Xiao Bao and Nyonyo if you leave? Don't worry, I've already told the restaurant owner. He will take care of Xiao Bao and Nyonyo. I'll come back to pick them up after I send you to the hospital. Okay, then I'm relieved. I'll go get the car first. When you reach the entrance of the gourmet street, wait for me there. At this speed, they still had to walk out of the gourmet street. Okay, go quickly. Don't worry, take care of the child in your stomach. Xia Dong nodded and comforted her daughter. She walked out first before Yi Siqi. Without the weight of the child in her arms, her pace was much faster. It only took 5 or 6 minutes to reach the square. Xia Dong drove the car to the entrance of the gourmet street. Yi Siqi was already waiting for her there. Behind her stood Xia Zhensheng. Xia Dong treated him like air. When Yi Siqi got into the car, she did not even look at him and drove away. Xia Zhensheng ran over, stopped a taxi, and followed behind them. Yi Siqi checked Xiao Guai's wound and said, That's your father, right? Just now, he asked me if you've been well all these years. I told him that you don't have to worry. Without you as a father, she's still doing very well. Xia Dong held back her tears and said, Yezi, thank you. You answered very well. Yi Siqi looked at her sympathetically. Xia, don't be sad. You still have many people who love you. Xia Dong bit her lip stubbornly. I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all. I just feel that it's not worth it for my mother. She tried hard to hold back her tears. She glanced sideways at Xiao Guai, who was lying in Yi Siqi's arms. Her heart ached as she said, Gigai still has a clean handkerchief in her backpack. Yezi, help her wrap it around her wound. Okay. Yisiki did as she said. He wrapped the handkerchief around Xiao Guai's wound, which was still bleeding, and asked, "How long until we reach the hospital?" According to the GPS, they were still 1 kilometer away from the nearest hospital. Xia Dong held the steering wheel with both hands and couldn't stop trembling. They finally arrived at the hospital. The doctors and nurses took Xiao Guai from Yisiki's arms and went straight to the emergency room. Xia Dong stood at the door of the emergency room, waiting anxiously. Yisiki pulled her to sit on a chair in the corridor. Xia, I'll go back to the restaurant first and bring the children here. Don't be too anxious. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. Yisiki patted her arm, glanced in the direction of the emergency room, and turned to leave. He hadn't taken 2 steps when he saw Xia Jinsheng, who was waiting not too far away. He asked anxiously, "Miss Yi, my granddaughter. How is she?" Yisiki snorted contemptuously, ignored him, and walked right past him. Xia Dong waited anxiously. Scary thoughts kept popping up in her mind. Every minute felt like a year. Just then, her phone rang. She was so shocked that she trembled. She glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Mika Keto. She bit her lip and didn't know what to say to him. Her phone kept ringing. She finally answered the call. "Brother Shen. Xia, are you guys done eating? Do you want me to pick you up?" Xia Dong's voice was a little dry. "Brother Shen, I'm at the hospital." "What happened?" The sound of something being knocked to the ground and Mika Keto's anxious voice could be heard over the phone. Xia Dong choked with sobs. Xiao Guai. Xiao Guai is injured. Xia, don't worry. Tell me which hospital you're at. I'll come over right away." Xia Dong told him the name of the hospital. The person on the other end comforted her for a while and immediately hung up. The lights in the emergency room were still on. Xia Dong was so scared that her whole body trembled. She didn't know how long she had been in fear. Suddenly, there were hurried footsteps in the corridor. Yisiki had rushed over with the children. Xiao Bao silently threw himself into her arms and gently patted her waist, comforting her silently. Xia Dong stroked his head. "Baby, mommy is fine. Are you hungry? Let's go eat something with Auntie Siki, okay?" Xiao Bao hugged her and said in a muffled voice, "It's okay, Mom. I'm not hungry. It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of Gigai. That's why she got injured." According to him, Xiao Guai had knocked into a big tree by the pool and her arm was cut by a branch. At that time, Nyonya was standing closest to Xiao Guai. When she saw Xiao Guai injured and bleeding, she was scared silly. Now that she had recovered, she burst into tears. Yisiki quickly hugged her precious daughter and coaxed her. "Nyonya, don't cry. Don't cry. Mommy, Gigai fell. I wanted to hold her, but I couldn't. She's bleeding a lot." "Silly girl, we're not blaming you. Don't cry." Xia Zhensheng watched from afar. He wanted to go forward, but he restrained himself. At this moment, Mika Keto also rushed over. He wasn't wearing a suit jacket, and the top 2 buttons of his white shirt were unbuttoned. His hair was a little messy, his breathing was heavy, and his expression was grave. Xia, how's Xiao Guai?" "She's still in the emergency room." When Xia Dong saw him, it was as if she had found her backbone. Her trembling body finally calmed down. "Don't be afraid. I'm here." With a glance, Bai Tangshan saw that her clothes were stained with blood. His eyes suddenly tightened as he sat beside her and patted her shoulder to comfort her. Suddenly, the emergency room door opened and the doctor walked out. "Doctor, how's my daughter?" Xia Dong rushed over anxiously. Mika Keto hurried over and stood beside Xia Dong. Yisiki and the 2 children also hurried over. The doctor's gaze went back and forth between Xiaodong and Mika Keto. He said unhappily, "You parents are too careless. How could you let your child run around and get injured when she has such an illness? She's lucky to have survived this time. She won't be so lucky next time." "Doctor, thank you. Thank you," Xiaodong cried. Mika Keto hugged her shoulders tightly and asked, "Doctor, can we go in and see the patient now?" "You can go in after disinfecting the patient to prevent infection. Nurse Lu, help the patient's family get ready." Aplastic anemia had a high probability of causing complications, so they had to take precautions. "Okay. Thank you, doctor." After the doctor left, Xiaodong and the others followed Nurse Lu to disinfect the patient. Xia Zhensheng gritted his teeth and followed them. Mika Keto glanced at Xia Zhensheng. Xia, who is this?" Xiaodong looked at Xia Zhensheng coldly as if she was looking at a stranger. "His name is Xia Zhensheng." Mika Keto didn't quite understand. Yi Siki coughed and explained, "He's Xia's father. However, he abandoned her when she was very young." Xia Zhensheng's old face flushed red. Xiaodong said coldly, "Xia Zhensheng, you're not welcome here. Please leave." Mika Keto hugged her shoulders and tried to persuade her. Xia, don't be like this. Your father is just worried about Xiao Guai. He's not my father." Xiaodong coldly pushed Mika Keto's hand away. Mika Keto looked at her heartless expression and knew that she couldn't persuade her. If she forced her, she would only annoy her, so she said, "Mr. Xia, Xiao Guai is fine now. Please leave." Xia Zhensheng looked sadly at his daughter, who deliberately turned her head away and didn't want to look at him. He nodded bitterly. "You must be Mr. Beitang. Please take good care of Xia. She has a bad temper, but she's very kind. Please make her happy." "I will," Mika Keto said solemnly. Xia Zhensheng left with a belly full of pain. His once imposing figure now looked so weary, but Xiaodong didn't want to sympathize with him at all. Let's go in." After disinfecting, they changed into special clothes and walked into Xiao Guai's ward. Xiao Guai lay quietly among a pile of instruments and tubes. Her pale and haggard face was so small that it made one's heart ache. Even in her sleep, her little brows were still furrowed. Xiaodong stroked her forehead with heartache. Mika Keto helped her sit down and said softly, Xia, are you hiding something from me?" He clearly remembered that the doctor had said that the child has this illness. What illness did Xiao Guai have that was so serious that she needed to be isolated in the ward? Yi Siki knew that they had something to talk about, so she asked the children to leave with her. It was getting late. She was worried about Lin Shihao, so she called him. When she found out that he was still working overtime at the hospital, she briefly explained her situation. Lin Shihao asked her to stay in the hospital and said that he would come to pick them up later. In the ward, Xiaodong looked down to hide the sadness in her eyes. She said, "Brother Shen, I didn't mean to hide it from you. I just didn't want you to worry." Mika Keto held her shoulders and forced her to look up at him. "You think I won't worry when you're like this? Tell me, what are you hiding from me?" Xiaodong knew that she couldn't hide it anymore, so she said slowly, "Brother Shen, do you remember when I took the children for a physical examination in Japan? Something came up at the last minute and you didn't come with us to the hospital?" Mika Keto nodded. "When we came back from the hospital, you said that the children were very healthy." She smiled bitterly. "Actually, that's not the case. Xiao Guai was diagnosed with aplastic anemia, which is a type of bone marrow hematopoietic failure. The main symptoms are low bone marrow hematopoietic function, pancytopenia, anemia, bleeding, and infection. Xiao Guai's condition is considered severe. At that time, the doctor said that Xiao Guai still had 1 year left. Now, she should only have 10 months and 4 days left." Mika Keto's body trembled as he looked at the little girl lying on the bed in shock. He couldn't believe that the little cutie, who had been acting coquettishly in his arms this morning, had contracted such a terrible illness. He muttered, but she looks normal. Come and see. Songshu 566. Chapter 92. Her skin is abnormally white, and she gets fevers easily. She bleeds profusely when her skin breaks. She can't run fast because she gets heart palpitations, dizziness, and fatigue. I put the medicine in the vitamin bottle and lied to her that it's vitamins. She'll grow taller quickly after taking it. Every time I take her to the hospital for a checkup, I lie to her that we're going to the hospital to play games, and the equipment there is for playing games. Every time I go to work, I'm scared that something will happen to her. Xia Dong covered her face as she recounted in pain. Mika Keto suddenly hugged her tightly in his arms. You silly girl, why didn't you tell me that you've shouldered so much on your own? Because I was scared. I didn't want you to worry. Brother Shen, I'm so scared. I'm scared that I won't be able to save Gigai in time. She's my life. I have to save her at all costs. Xia Dong sobbed in his arms. We'll find a way. There's only one way. She lifted her head from his arms, her face full of tears. That is to have a child related to her and use the child's naval blood to save her. Mika Keto froze. Something flashed through his mind. So, you and Bailey Han, yes, that's the reason. Xia Dong wiped away the tears on her face and smiled strangely. Brother Shen, I've succeeded. I'm pregnant. As if struck by lightning, Mika Keto's face instantly lost all color. His body stiffened and he didn't move. Her eyes were filled with passion. I can finally save Gigai. Mika Keto grabbed her wrist and felt a chill run down his spine. He shouldn't be so calculative. He loved her and the children. He knew that she had no choice, so why should he be so calculative? However, his heart was throbbing with pain. It was so painful that he had difficulty breathing. This woman was a little silly. She pretended to be strong and always hid her sadness with a smile. How could such thin shoulders bear such a heavy burden? He hugged her tightly and said word by word, when the child is born, I'll treat him as my own flesh and blood. I won't mistreat him. Xia Dong lay in his arms and cried even louder. In the hospital, there was a sad atmosphere, but in the old mansion in Bailey, there was a joyous atmosphere. During dinner, Bailey Han announced his plans. He was going to marry Su Yunxian. The specific date would be decided after the two families discussed it. Except for Bailey Yi, everyone was supportive, especially the old lady of Bailey. She was so happy that she kept cheering, your love marathon has finally come to an end. We are all happy for you. Your grandfather is also very happy. As she spoke, Madame Gu patted the back of old Bailey's hand. Old man, Ahan is going to marry a wife. Are you happy? There was a hint of confusion in old master's eyes, but when he saw old madam smiling so happily, he also chuckled and nodded. I'm happy, happy. Bailey Yun raised his wine glass and smiled meaningfully. Brother, Yunxian, congratulations. Thank you. Bailey Han and Su Yunxian also raised their wine glasses and smiled at each other. Bailey Yi was very unhappy. His little face was tense and his two little fists were tightly clenched. He looked down at the plate in front of him and turned a deaf ear to the voices around him. He had replaced the aphrodisiac in the wine bottle with sleeping pills. How did they still have sex? No, he couldn't let this woman be his mommy. He had to find a way to destroy it. It was almost 10 o'clock when Xia Zhenxing returned home. The living room was empty and dark. No one had left the lights on for him. The bedroom light was still on. His wife was still awake, but at this moment, he didn't want to see her. He dragged his feet and went to his study. He took out the photos of his ex-wife and daughter from the secret drawer and couldn't help but cry. His fingers trembled as he stroked his ex-wife's face. The guilt in his heart wrapped tightly around him like a tide. His daughter in the photo had an innocent "will you" smile on her tender cheeks. He whispered with tears in his eyes, "Xia Xia, Daddy really deserves to die. I've let you and your mother down." There was a soft knock on the door. Xia Zhenxing hurriedly wiped the tears from his face and pressed the photo under a thick book. He cleared his throat and said, "Come in." Su Xingchen was holding a small white bowl in her hand. She pushed the door open and entered. "Daddy, I'm here to deliver supper." Xia Zhenxing forced a smile. "Oh, it's Xingchen. It's so late. Why aren't you asleep?" Su Xingchen placed the small bowl in front of him and pouted. "Daddy, how can your daughter sleep when you're not home? What were you busy with today? Why did you come back so late?" "Mommy was very worried about you. I was guiding a student in the art studio. I wasn't paying attention and missed the time. It's all Daddy's fault. I've made you guys worry." "Oh, I see. Daddy, I'm going back to my room. You should rest early too." Su Xingchen noticed that his eyes were red as soon as she entered the room. It was obvious that he had cried. She knew that he was hiding something from her. Her sharp eyes swept across the desk and saw a corner of the yellowed photo peeking out from under the book. The two photos that Xia Zhenxing had secretly kept flashed through her mind. He was so sad and came back so late. Could it have something to do with Xia Dong? Su Xingchen had doubts in her heart. She became more vigilant and began to pay attention to his every move. Hospital, VIP ward. At around 10 p.m. last night, Lin Shihao came to pick up Yisiki and Nyonyo. Mika Kito asked Jiang Dao to send Xiao Bao home while she accompanied Xia Dong to stay by Xiao Guai's side for the whole night. "Mommy." Xia Dong dreamt that her daughter was calling her even in her dreams. She suddenly woke up and found herself in Mika Kito's arms. The two of them were hugging each other as they lay on the hospital bed. "What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" Mika Kito had long woken up. She touched her daughter's head. Her eyes were filled with panic, and her forehead was covered in sweat. Xia Dong nodded. She didn't want to say that she dreamt that Xiao Guai was seriously ill. Her soft hair had all fallen out. She got up from Mika Kito's arms and got off the bed. She looked at her daughter through the glass window. She was still unconscious. Her small cheeks were pale and bloodless. "Don't worry. The doctor just checked and said that Gigai's condition has stabilized. She will wake up today." Mika Kito walked to her side and comforted her gently. "If you're still worried, you can quit your job and take care of her. I can still take care of the three of you." Xia Dong relaxed a little when she heard that Xiao Guai was fine. She smiled. "You're a rich bachelor. Of course you can take care of the three of us. But I don't want to be like a vine that depends on a tree. I'll take leave today and stay in the hospital to take care of Xiao Guai. Brother Shen, you should go to the office quickly." Mika Kito ruffled her hair. "I won't go to the office today. I'll stay here with you. You said that Xiao Guai is fine. It's enough that I'm here. What can a man like you do here? Gigai should go to the office to earn money so that you can take care of us." Xia Dong pushed his body towards the elevator. Mika Kito couldn't do anything about it. "Okay, I'll go to the office first. Call me if you need anything." "Got it. Go, go." Xia Dong smiled and waved her hand. After sending Mika Kito off, Xia Dong tidied herself up and called Xiao Bao. She learned that Jiang Dao had sent him to kindergarten and told him about Xiao Guai's condition so that he could rest assured. Xia Dong then called Yisiki to tell her that she was safe. She asked her to keep Xiao Guai's illness a secret and not let her aunt know about it. She didn't want her aunt to worry. Yisiki agreed and even said that she would make some delicious food for lunch and send it over to the mother and daughter. Xia Dong disinfected the water and entered her daughter's ward. She held her daughter's hand and softly told her fairy tales. She told her about Snow White and Cinderella. When she was talking about Sleeping Beauty, her daughter's long eyelashes suddenly fluttered. Xia Dong excitedly called out, "Gigai." Xiao Guai slowly opened her eyes and called out softly, "Mommy." Xia Dong's nose twitched and she almost cried. She gently hugged her daughter. "You naughty girl. You almost scared Mommy to death." Xiao Guai hugged her neck with her chubby little arms and said softly, "Mommy, I'm sorry. I made you worry." "It's okay, it's okay. Our Xiao Guai is the most obedient." Xia Dong wiped the corners of her eyes and asked with concern, "Gigai, are you feeling unwell anywhere?" Xiao Guai's big eyes blinked. "Mommy, I want to drink water." "Okay, Mommy will get you some water." Xia Dong poured a cup of water into a paper cup and then took an empty paper cup. She poured the water in turns to make it easier to lower the temperature. When the water was just right, she fed her daughter. Xiao Guai drank the water and lay quietly on the bed. Xia Dong touched her cheek and said softly, "Gigai, Mommy will call the doctor over. I'll be back soon." Xiao Guai nodded obediently. The doctor came over and gave Xiao Guai a full body examination. After confirming that her condition had stabilized, he invited Xia Dong to the office and said, "Miss Xia, the patient's condition has stabilized, but I suggest that she stay in the hospital for a few more days." "How many days will it take?" 5 days. If you're busy with work and don't have time to take care of the patient, our hospital can provide caregivers. The caregivers are all professionally trained and will take good care of your daughter." "Thank you. I do need a caregiver to take care of my daughter." After arranging the caregivers, she asked, "Doctor, based on my daughter's current condition, how long can she last?" "A few months at most. She must have surgery as soon as possible." Xia Dong clenched her hands nervously. "Doctor, can my daughter last for 10 months? The doctor frowned. "It's going to be difficult. Even if she survives through chemotherapy until then, her physical condition will be very bad. The success rate of the surgery is relatively small." Xia Dong's eyes were full of anticipation and anxiety. "It's relatively small, but it's not hopeless, right?" "In theory, yes." After walking out of the doctor's office, Xia Dong did not return to the ward directly. Instead, she sat on the bench in the corridor. She covered her face helplessly. She was so worried and scared, but she was a mother. If even she was not brave, what would happen to her child? She only gave herself 2 minutes to complain. 2 minutes later, she stood up energetically and pushed open the door of the ward with a smile. "Gigai," her voice stopped abruptly because she saw someone she did not want to see. That person was sitting by Xiao Guai's bed, holding toys to make her happy. "Mommy, Grandpa bought me a lot of toys." "Mommy." Xiao Guai suddenly closed her mouth because she realized that her mommy's expression was very ugly. Xia Zhenxing stood up uneasily. "Don't be angry. I just came to see the child. I'll leave right away." Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 93. Xia Dong clenched her fists and tried to control her anger. She didn't want to scare the child, so she said as calmly as possible, "Please don't come here again." Xia Zhenxing's body stiffened. He looked at his granddaughter on the hospital bed reluctantly and smiled bitterly. "I know." He waved at his granddaughter. "Gigai, Grandpa is leaving now. You have to listen to Mommy and get better soon, okay?" "Okay, bye-bye, Grandpa." Xiao Guai blinked her big eyes and waved her chubby little hand. "Bye-bye." Xia Zhenxing smiled from the bottom of his heart, making him look like a kind old man. Xia Dong watched him leave coldly. "Mommy, are you angry?" Xiao Guai wiggled her little butt and climbed onto her lap. She asked carefully, "Mommy, don't you like Grandpa?" Xia Dong closed her eyes and repeated, "I'm not angry." Then she opened her eyes and said softly, "Gigai, don't see him again, and don't call him Grandpa." "But why?" "Grandpa is Grandpa." "Gigai, are you not going to listen to Mommy's words? Mommy is so sad," Xia Dong said with a pained expression. Xiao Guai immediately burrowed into her arms and said softly, "Mommy, don't be sad. I'll listen to you." Okay. That's Mommy's good child. Gigai, you have to throw away these toys too. Xia Dong stroked her daughter and looked at the pile of toys that Xia Zhenxing had brought. Xiao Guai couldn't bear to part with them. But Mommy, those toys are fun, can we not throw them away? Mommy will buy you a new one, and I'll buy you more fun ones, okay? Okay then. Xiao Guai watched her mommy take the toys out and throw them into the trash can. Woo-woo, Grandpa, I'm sorry. At noon, Xia Dong received a call from the director. Xia Dong, can you come to the company? There's an urgent matter that needs your attention. Director, what's the matter? There's a problem with Xinghao Group. They suddenly want to unilaterally terminate the advertising contract with us. The advertising department sent the termination agreement over this morning. You signed the contract with them, so it's better for you to be responsible for the termination of the contract. I don't understand. Why would Xinghao Group suddenly terminate our contract? Wasn't the initial advertising investment very successful? I don't understand either. Terminating the contract doesn't benefit Xinghao Group at all. I don't know what they're thinking. Do you have time to deal with this matter this afternoon? Xia Dong looked at her daughter, who was lying on the bed and playing with her fingers in boredom. She gritted her teeth. I'm sorry, Director. I have some personal matters to attend to here. I really can't leave. How about I talk to Xinghao Group and discuss the termination tomorrow? Okay, that's the only way. Xia Dong patted her daughter's head. Gigai, play by yourself for a while. Mommy will go out and make a call. Okay, Xia Dong walked to the end of the corridor and dialed the office number of Xinghao Group's advertising department director, Ren Jijia. Her secretary, Miss, helped her transfer the call. Hello, I'm Ren Jijia. Xia Dong went straight to the point. Director Ren, our charm magazine has been working with Xinghao Group for 2 months. The advertising revenue has always been good. You also expressed that you are very satisfied. Why did you suddenly terminate the contract? Ren Jijia face-bombed. Miss Xia, actually, I'm not very clear about this matter. This is our president's idea. The termination of the contract was also personally ordered by him. Xia Dong was silent for a moment and said, Okay, I understand. I have something to do this afternoon. I may not be able to discuss the termination of the contract with you in time. How about we make an appointment tomorrow? Ren Jijia looked at his schedule and said, I have time tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'll be there on time. After hanging up the phone, Xia Dong was full of doubts. She didn't know what the hell Bailey Han was doing. Didn't he know that he would have to pay more than 10 million yuan just to terminate the contract? Even if he was rich, he shouldn't waste money like this. This guy was really out of his mind. The next day, Xia Dong arranged for a caregiver to take care of her daughter and return to work. Although she didn't want to have anything to do with Bailey Han, he had provided her with a seed that allowed her to save Gigai. With this life-saving grace, she couldn't let him make a mistake and lose a lot of money. Therefore, before discussing with Ren Jijia, she first went to the president's office. When she saw Xia Dong, Linda quickly stood up. Miss Xia, our president is in a meeting. Xia Dong raised her eyebrows. I haven't told you why I'm here and you already know that I want to see him. Well, the president had already instructed that as long as Xia Dong asked to see him, there were only 2 words, and that was, no. Linda smiled awkwardly. The president said that he doesn't have time. Xia Dong smiled faintly. It's okay. I'll wait until President Bailey has time. Linda laughed dryly. Miss Xia, actually, the president, he doesn't want to see you. Of course, Xia Dong knew the reason. However, she was even more curious. Why didn't Bailey Han want to see her? She smiled calmly. So now, Miss Linda, can you please tell me whether President Bailey is in the office or not? Linda didn't want to offend Xia Dong because of the Mika Kito's fiancé, halo above her head. However, Bailey Han was her boss after all. She couldn't afford to offend him. After weighing the pros and cons, she said vaguely, "The president said that he's not in." Xia Dong raised her eyebrows. That meant that he was in. She said thank you to Linda and turned to leave. 10 minutes later, she returned to Bailey Han's office wearing a cleaner's uniform. Linda's eyes were wide open. Her eyeballs were about to fall out. Xia Dong put her finger to her lips and made a shushing gesture. It wasn't that she hadn't thought of barging in, but with Bailey Han's temper, he would definitely vent his anger on Linda. She didn't want to implicate others. Knock, knock, knock. She knocked on the door and said, "President, I'm cleaning." Bailey Han's voice sounded. "Come in." Xia Dong walked in and closed the door. Bailey Han's attention was all on the computer. He didn't raise his head to look at her. However, he said unhappily, "Why are you cleaning at this time? If this happens again, you don't have to come to work anymore." Xia Dong rolled her eyes. She put down the cleaning tools in her hand and walked to his desk. "Mr. Bailey, I want to talk to you." Hearing the familiar voice, Bailey Han suddenly looked up. He locked his fierce gaze on her and said with a livid face, "Why are you here? How dare you show up in front of me? Get out. I don't want to see you." Xia Dong tried her best to suppress her anger. "Bailey Han, I'll leave after I've said what I want to say. I don't need you to chase me out. I don't want to hear anything from you, you liar." Bailey Han picked up the landline and dialed the internal line. He wanted the security guards to chase her out. Xia Dong reacted quickly and hung up the phone. She was also angry. "Bailey Han, you're an ungentlemanly man. Do you think I want to see you? If it weren't for your own good, I'd rather not see you for the rest of my life." Bailey Han was furious. "I don't need you to do it for my own good. Get out of here right now." Xia Dong didn't give in at all. She held the phone tightly and glared at him. "You idiot. Don't you know that you have to pay at least 10 million yuan for breaching the contract with Charm? Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? Why did you make such an irrational decision?" Bailey Han slammed the table and stood up. He stared at her with a murderous gaze. "Don't you know why I made such a decision? You know what you've done. Stop pretending to be innocent. This damned woman. She lied to him first and now she's asking him why he terminated the contract. He wanted to strangle her to death." Xia Dong was stunned. "What did I do? Tell me clearly." Bailey Han sneered. "Humph, it seems like you've done too many bad things. You don't even know which one it is." Xia Dong's eyes flashed. "Bailey Han, don't be so sarcastic. What's going on?" Bailey Han glared at her fiercely. His sharp gaze seemed to penetrate her internal organs, making her feel a little guilty. However, she wasn't timid at all. She raised her chin and bravely met his gaze. Finally, he snorted. He took out a newspaper from the drawer and threw it at her face. "I'll let you know clearly, you shameless woman." Xia Dong was hit in the face by the newspaper. She suppressed her anger and took the newspaper off her face. When she opened it, her face turned pale. It turned out that he knew about her engagement with Mika Keto and that she had 2 children. In his eyes, she must be a woman who would do anything for vanity. She didn't intend to explain anything. She bit her lip and said, "Even if you hate me because of this, there's no need to break the contract and cause a loss of 10 million yuan. He stared into her eyes. "Don't you want to explain why you lied to me?" Xia Dong clenched her fists and tried to make herself look calm. "There's nothing to explain. I've already said what I wanted to say. If you insist on losing 10 million yuan, I won't say another word." His face was ashen. He gritted his teeth and said word by word, "Good. You're ruthless." He suddenly reached out and pointed at the door. "Now, get out. Don't ever appear in front of me again." Xia Dong raised her head slightly. She made herself look arrogant, calm as she walked out of his office. As she closed the door, a loud bang came from behind her. An antique vase, bearing the brunt of Bailey Han's fury, was smashed into pieces. Xia Dong's back was facing the office door. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her eyes were clear. She silently prayed in her heart, Bailey Han, I'm sorry. Only by making him hate her would he return to his own world and no longer have anything to do with her. This was good. This was really good. Xia Dong didn't hesitate at all. She changed her clothes in the bathroom and walked into Ren Jijia's office to discuss the termination of the contract with him. Although she represented Charm magazine, she didn't blame Xinghao Group for breaching the contract. In terms of the liquidated damages, she only set the lowest amount according to the rules. Both sides reached an agreement. Ren Jijia stood up and shook her hand. Miss Xia, thank you for showing mercy this time. I hope we'll have a chance to work together in the future. Xia Dong smiled politely. Director Ren, you're too polite. We've had a good time working together. I look forward to working with your company next time. The two exchanged some pleasantries. Xia Dong said goodbye. Her assistant, Su Xingchen, walked her to the elevator and the door. The elevator came up from the first floor. It took a long time. Xia Dong stared intently at the changing numbers on the elevator. Beauty novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 94. Su Xingchen suddenly said, Sister Xiao Xia, we're actually half-sisters. Did you know that? Xia Dong said lightly, is that so? I'm not interested in that. In my heart, Dad has already passed away. From the moment Xia Zhenxing abandoned her and her mother, he had already died in her heart. Su Xingchen showed a sad expression, Sister, don't say that. If Daddy hears it, he'll be sad. Actually, I've always wanted to have a sister. In the future, can you be my sister? She reached out and wanted to grab Xia Dong, but Xia Dong shook her off and said lightly, Miss Su, please call me Xia Dong. I don't have the fortune to be your sister. Su Xingchen bit her lip, feeling wronged. Sister, do you hate me and Mommy for snatching Daddy away? As long as you're willing, we can be a family. I'm sorry, I'm not willing. The elevator is here. I'll leave first. Xia Dong walked into the elevator and looked at Su Xingchen, who was standing outside, expressionlessly. The elevator door closed. Su Xingchen's pitiful, wronged, and painful expression was all gone. She revealed a slight smile. Of course, she didn't really want to be good sisters with Xia Dong. She just wanted to get close to her to achieve her goal. She didn't expect her to be so guarded and actually rejected her time and time again. But it didn't matter. She didn't want to face her with a fake smile every day anyway. Xia Dong walked out of the Shanghao Group building while talking on the phone. Hello, Sister Li. Is Xiao Guai okay? Okay. Then I'm relieved. Thank you for your hard work. I'll come and see her after work. After hanging up the phone, she touched her belly. Baby, you have to be Gigai. Grow up quickly so that you can save your sister. Do you understand? Bailey Han was very irritable. He stood in front of the window and looked at the scenery outside. His mood didn't improve at all. He hated that woman for always being able to control his emotions. He hated her even more for silently admitting to her crimes. This was a way of admitting that he was fooled by her like a fool. How despicable. Before he could calm down, Su Yunxian called. Han, Mommy just called to tell me that old madam and the rest have already set our wedding date. It's the 15th of next month. What do you think? Today was the 16th. It would be a month to the 15th of the next month. Bailey Han's hand holding the phone tightened. And I have no objections. Su Yunxian smiled. When will the wedding dress, the wedding, the church, and the hotel? Bailey Han paused for a moment. Just leave these matters to the butler. No, I want to be like an ordinary bride and personally prepare for this wedding. Do you think it's troublesome? I don't worry, she giggled. How can that be? I'm overjoyed. Then, are you willing to prepare for the wedding with me? His frown deepened, but he didn't refuse. Okay, I'll listen to you. She kissed him on the phone. Han, you're the best. I love you. He said, okay, I have to go to a meeting. Talk to you tonight. Alright, go ahead and do your work. In Su Yunxian's office, she was beaming. Ever since she found out about the wedding date, her smile hadn't disappeared. She wanted to tell the whole world that she was going to get married to the man she loved deeply. Although she couldn't tell the whole world, she could tell her rivals, such as her dear cousin Su Xingqian, to stop her from having unrealistic fantasies. Su Yunxian's smile became even brighter. She pressed Su Xingqian's number and said, Xingqian, congratulate me. I'm going to marry Han. Su Xingqian almost threw her phone away. The smile on her face was uglier than crying. Only her voice was normal. Then I really have to congratulate you. Sister Yunxian, when is your wedding date? On the 15th of next month. I want you to be my bridesmaid. Are you willing? Su Xingqian almost broke her teeth. I'm willing, of course I'm willing. Sister Yunxian, the director is looking for me. I'll hang up first. Talk to you next time. Okay, go ahead. Bye-bye. Su Yunxian hung up the phone with a smile. She was in a good mood. It felt so good to defeat her love rival. Brother Han was going to get married, but the bride wasn't her. Su Xingqian was angry and sad. She had been so focused on dealing with Xia Dong that she had neglected Su Yunxian. No, she wouldn't let Su Yunxian have her way. At night, Su Xingqian invited her good friends Bailey Fei Yan and Bai Meiwei to a bar to relax. In the bar, the lights flickered and the electronic music was deafening. The noisy air was filled with the ambiguous smell of alcohol and perfume. All kinds of men and women were crazily twisting their waists and buttocks under the dim lights. The three of them ran to the dance floor and showed off their dancing and figures. They were harassed from time to time, but they ignored it. The three of them gathered together and laughed. After dancing until they were tired, they sat down at the bar counter. Bai Meiwei smiled and said, Xingqian, you used to have the best temper. Whenever you met someone who hit on you, you would politely decline. What's wrong with you today? Bailey Fei Yan interrupted, I know. Xingqian, it's because my cousin is getting married. She's not happy. Bailey Han is getting married? Su Xingqian smiled. Yes, on the 15th of next month. Sister Yunxian even asked me to be her bridesmaid. Bai Meiwei raised an eyebrow, this Su Yunxian, she's doing it on purpose. Su Xingqian hurriedly said, Meiwei, don't say that about my cousin. She's very good to me. I think she's definitely not doing it on purpose. Only a naive fellow like you would think that. Bai Meiwei rolled her eyes at him in annoyance. I've seen that cousin of yours before. She's definitely a smiling tiger with a fierce heart. Don't be fooled by her and still help her count her money. Su Xingqian smiled bitterly, don't talk about me. Meiwei, didn't you say you liked someone? How are things between you and him? Bai Meiwei casually stretched out her arms, nothing much. The person I like already has a wife and child. Ah, it can't be, you've fallen in love with a married man. Bailey Fei Yan cried out noisily. Bai Meiwei hurriedly covered her mouth. Miss, please lower your voice. Su Xingqian said, if you ask me, so what if he's a married man? If you like him, then chase him over. Bai Meiwei smiled bitterly, it's not as simple as you say. He loves his wife very much. What's the use of love? Love can also be betrayed. Su Xingqian was already a little drunk. His eyes were blurred as he said, just like Brother Han. Doesn't he also love Sister Yunxian very much? But so what? Didn't he still betray her? Last time at Charm Club, we all saw him and Xia Dong having an ambiguous relationship. Bai Meiwei frowned as if she had thought of something. Speaking of which, Xia Dong is my senior's patient. That day, I accidentally saw her medical record. She seems to be pregnant. What? Pregnant? Su Xingchen suddenly quivered and sobered up halfway. How long has she been pregnant? I didn't see it very clearly. I only saw the word 2. I don't know if it's 2 months or 2 weeks. But I guess it's 2 weeks. She doesn't look like it's 2 months. 2 weeks pregnant. Su Xingchen silently counted the dates in his heart. That was the same date as the night Brother Han and Xia Dong were at Charm Club. Her face was pale. No, this must be a coincidence. Bai Meiwei patted her. Xingchen, what are you talking about? No, nothing. Let's drink. We won't go home until we're drunk tonight. Su Xingchen raised his wine glass, hiding the thoughts in his heart. Xingchen, don't drink anymore. You've already drunk a lot. Don't stop me. I want to drink. Bottoms up. As Su Xingchen drank, he pondered in his heart. Regardless of whether Xia Dong was pregnant with Brother Han's child or not, if Su Yunxian felt that she was pregnant with Brother Han's child, with Su Yunxian's personality, she would definitely not let him off. And Xia Dong, with Mika Kito's protection, would definitely not be defeated so easily by Su Yunxian. If the two of them fought, it would definitely be very lively. The wedding might even be postponed or cancelled. Oh right, the matter that I asked my godfather to help me with some time ago should be put aside first. I have a new plan. With a plan in mind, Su Xingchen relaxed and allowed himself to get drunk. Fian, Xingchen is drunk. I'll send her home. You should take a taxi home too. Okay. Be careful on the road. Bai Meiwei was drunk and could not drive. She supported Su Xingchen and stood on the side of the road to hail a taxi. In the end, taxi after taxi was full. She helplessly sighed and planned to find a designated driver to help her drive. A car drove past her and suddenly turned back. Meiwei, why are you here? Bai Meiwei happily called out, Senior, you really came at the right time. Can we trouble you to send us home? Bai Meiwei helped Su Xingchen into the car. Only then did she know that this was the road that Lin Shihao had to take to get home. Lin Shihao first sent Su Xingchen home, then sent Bai Meiwei to her villa. Bai Meiwei smiled and said, Senior, thank you so much for tonight. Do you want to come to my house and sit? No need. My wife is still waiting for me at home. You should go in quickly. Be careful on the road. Bai Meiwei stood on the side of the road and watched reluctantly as he drove away. In the end, she sighed. Why were all good men already other people's husbands? Su Xingchen's words involuntarily flashed through her mind. So what if he's a married man? If you like him, then chase him over. Her heart suddenly began to pound. Chase him over? Could she really do it? Xia Dong spent the night with her daughter again. Mika Kito was still squeezed on the same bed as her. Brother Shen, you don't have to accompany us. Mika Kito patted her head. What nonsense are you saying? I've already booked a room in the hotel next to the hospital. Your change of clothes has also been sent over. You can go there to wash up and get ready for work. I'll take care of things here. Xia Dong was very touched. Brother Shen, thank you. You're always so considerate. Don't say those 3 words to me in the future. I don't like to hear them. He smiled. You can say those 3 words to me. Xia Dong was curious. What 3 words? He raised his eyebrows. You're welcome. Actually, what he wanted to say was, I love you. Xia Dong laughed. She went to the hotel to wash up and dress up beautifully. When she returned to the hospital, she saw Mika Kito teaching Xiao Guai Japanese. He hugged her and smiled gently and dotingly. just like a father and daughter. Xia Dong inexplicably felt that this scene was very heartwarming. Xia Dong patted her daughter's head. Gigai, you have to listen to Auntie Li today. Gigai has to take medicine and injections. Do you understand? I understand. Goodbye, Mommy. Her daughter waved her chubby little hands. Brother Shen, I'm going to work. You should hurry to the office too. Sister Li will take care of Xiao Guai. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 95. Mika Keto smiled faintly. I'm the boss. I can go whenever I want. You, on the other hand, will be late if you don't leave now. Xia Dong was speechless. So what if you're the boss? Just as Xia Dong left, Mika Keto's phone rang. It was a call from England. He put down Xiao Guai and patted her head. Gigai, Uncle Shen is going outside to answer the call. He'll be back soon. He walked to the corridor and pressed the answer button. The other party said in English, Boss, the killer whale's death was very clean and did not leave any clues. We've been investigating for a long time, but we haven't found the mastermind. What should we do now? Mika Keto pondered for a moment and replied in English, the mastermind was able to contact the killer whale and get rid of him so cleanly that even you guys couldn't find anything. This means that the mastermind is not simple. We'll put this matter aside for now, but don't let your guard down. I believe that the mastermind will not give up so easily. Who knows, they might make their next move soon. Yes, boss. Mika Keto stood in the corridor and was silent for a while. He then called Jiang Dao. Jiang Dao, from today onwards, send someone to the hospital to protect Xiao Guai secretly. You'll be responsible for Xiao Bao's safety. As for Xia Dong, he would protect her personally. At the morning meeting, Xia Dong commented on everyone's topic and finally picked a more novel topic to be the main topic of the next issue of the magazine. Peter, I think your topic about performance art is very good. Nowadays, many artists use art to inspire people to think about nature and social issues. This topic is worth exploring. Peter nodded repeatedly. As Xia Dong spoke, her eyes lit up. Some time ago, I saw a video uploaded by a netizen on the internet. It said that there's a school called Yutong Primary School in a remote mountain area. There's only one teacher in the school. He used to study art, but now he teaches all the subjects. I have an idea. If we invite this teacher to lead all the students in the school to complete a work of art, then our magazine will do a special interview. First, it will make the topic of art more creative. Second, we can use the influence of the magazine to help the children in that school. That's a great idea. Peter took the lead and applauded. For a moment, the applause was thunderous. Xia Dong reported this matter to the director as a project, which also aroused the director's great interest. Art is not only a matter of fashion, but also a matter of social welfare. Xia Dong, your idea is very good. Xia Dong smiled and said, since the director approves of this idea, I would like to apply for an activity fund from the company. I would also like to apply for a charity to donate to the school. The director pondered for a moment. There's no problem with the funds for the event. As for the charity, we still need to communicate with the corporation. I'll do my best. Thank you, Director. I'll wait for your good news. The efficiency of the director was quite high. The next day, he informed Xia Dong that the matter of the charity was settled. The corporation agreed to donate 500,000 renminbi to the school in the name of the magazine. However, the corporation named Xia Dong to be in charge of this activity. Xia Dong knew that this was actually the time for the corporation to test her ability. Xia Dong contacted the only teacher in Yutong Primary School, Ning Feng, in advance. Ning Feng was not old. He was a man in his early 30s, but year-round heavy work made him look like a man in his 40s. When Xia Dong mentioned the interview to him, he was so excited that he was almost speechless. He held Xia Dong's hand and kept thanking her, Chief Editor Xia, thank you so much. I thank you on behalf of the 73 children in our school. Teacher Ning, you're welcome. Our magazine also needs the help of you and the children. The artwork for the interview will require more effort from you. The artwork can be a painting or a sculpture. The theme and scope are up to you. As long as the theme of art and fashion is highlighted, it will be fine. Understood, understood. I will definitely put my heart into it. Xia Dong and Ning Feng made an appointment for the interview. At that time, the magazine would send photographers and interviewers to the school for the interview. Xia Dong deliberately set the time for the interview on the second day after Xiao Guai was discharged from the hospital, which was this Saturday. This way, she would not miss the time to pick up her daughter because of work. On the day of picking up the child, the doctor invited Xia Dong and Mika Keto to the office and told them a lot of things to pay attention to. He also suggested that with the child's current physical condition, it was no longer suitable for her to continue to study in the kindergarten. It was best to take her home to recuperate. Back at home, Xia Dong bathed Gigai. She immediately ran to Xiao Bao's room and cuddled with her brother. The two little guys did not have a chance to spend a long time together. As soon as they met, they chattered non-stop. Their giggles could be heard from the room to the living room from time to time. Listening to the laughter, Xia Dong felt very at ease. She nestled on the sofa and did not want to move. When Mika Keto finished washing and cutting the fruit and brought it to her, she had already fallen asleep on the sofa. He knew that she had been very tired recently. She had been running back and forth between the hospital, the company, and home. At night, she often had nightmares when she slept. He could not bear to wake her up. He bent down, put his hands around her waist, carefully picked her up, and put her on her bed. Xia Dong slept until the next morning. When she woke up, she was still a little confused. She thought that she was in the hospital. Suddenly, she saw two hairy heads popping out from beside her bed. She was shocked. Ha 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 ha, Mommy, your dazed expression is so cute. Xiao Guai jumped up with a funny face and stuck out her little tongue. It's over. Mom was scared silly by us. Xiao Bao touched her little chin with a regretful expression. You two rascals. How dare you laugh at me? Look at my invincible photon wave. Xia Dong stretched out her arms and imitated Crayon Shinchan's movements. She sent out photon waves with a biu-biu sound. The two little rascals cooperatively fell onto the bed and lay there motionlessly. You two, now you know how powerful I am, right? Do you still dare to bully Mommy? Xia Dong pounced over and hugged them. She kissed them on the left and right cheeks. We don't dare to, Mika Keto heard the laughter of the three of them in the kitchen. A faint smile appeared on his cold and handsome face. His lips curved up coldly as he placed the breakfast he had prepared on the table. Then, he knocked on the door. Uncle Shen's breakfast of love is ready. Little rascals, it's time to eat. Oh lazy Mommy, get up quickly. Otherwise, we'll finish all your breakfast. The two little rascals ran to the dining room. Mika Keto crossed his arms and looked at Xia Dong, who was still lying on the bed and refusing to get up. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xia, aren't you going to the mountains for an interview today? Why aren't you getting up yet? Only then did Xia Dong come to his senses. Wow. He jumped off the bed and said, I thought today was Saturday. I almost forgot about it. Mika Keto shook his head helplessly. His eyes were filled with love and gentleness. Don't worry. I don't have anything going on today. I plan to accompany you to the mountains. Xia Dong rushed to the bathroom. As she washed up, she said vaguely, I don't think so. I'm going with my colleagues. It'll be awkward if you come with me. When she came out of the bathroom, Mika Keto said, what's there to be awkward about? Don't forget that I'm your fiancé in name. In the end, he was worried about her going alone. No matter how Xia Dong tried to persuade him, Mika Keto wouldn't listen. In the end, Beitang Shen directly used violence to solve the problem. He picked up the chattering Xia Dong and threw him into his Bentley. Then, he sped off. He parked the car downstairs and made a phone call. The cameraman in charge of the shoot, Ding Hao, came out with his camera on his back. When he saw the Bentley, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he joked, "Chief editor, the car we're going to use today is really luxurious." Xia Dong laughed. "Don't talk nonsense. This is my friend's car. Let me introduce my friend, Mika Kito. Brother Shen, this is my colleague, cameraman Ding Hao." Mika Kito's name was well known. Ding Hao reached out his hand with a smile. "Mr. Beitang, it's an honor to meet you. You're so nice to our chief editor." Mika Kito shook his hand politely and looked indifferent. "I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind me accompanying Xia." No, Mr. Beitang, you're too polite." Xia Dong sat next to Mika Kito while Ding Hao sat in the back seat. Mika Kito looked cold and aloof in front of outsiders. She seemed unapproachable. However, she was very protective of Xia Dong. Ding Hao couldn't help but sigh. She had a rumored boyfriend, the second young master of Bailey. Now, she had a fiancé, President Beitang. Chief editor not only had many admirers, but she was also very high quality. Yutong Elementary School was located in a remote mountainous area. The transportation was not very convenient. The mountain roads were full of potholes and it was extremely difficult to walk. They set off early in the morning and didn't reach their destination until the afternoon. The school was very simple. A row of old tile-roofed houses stood in front of them. In front of the houses was a small playground. In the middle of the playground was a flagpole with a bright 5-starred red flag fluttering on it. Xia Dong didn't expect the school to welcome them with such fanfare. All the children stood in 2 rows on the playground with wreaths made of wild flowers in their hands. They shouted, "Welcome! Welcome!" Ning Feng shook their hands excitedly. "Welcome! Our Yutong Elementary School is a little simple. Please forgive us if we don't treat you well. Mr. Ning, you're too polite. Mr. Ning, this is Ding Hao, the photographer of our magazine. This is my friend, Mika Kito. We would like to visit the school first and take some photos to let more people know about the school. Is that okay?" "Of course. This way, please." Ning Feng took the 3 of them to visit the classrooms. There were 73 students in 6 grades, but there were only 3 classrooms. There were all kinds of desks in the classrooms, which were brought by the students from their homes. According to Ning Feng, each classroom could seat 2 grades of students. Every day, he would teach students of different grades at different times. The students' cafeteria was a low tile-roofed house with an earthen stove. There were 2 big iron pots on top of the stove. Every day, Ning Feng would cook the students' meals for them. The other 2 rooms were the students' dormitory. The children who lived far away from their homes lived in the school and went home once a week. Ning Feng also lived in the school. His office-cum-bedroom was very small. It was so small that there was only a bed, a desk, a chair, and a wardrobe in it. After seeing this, Xia Dong's heart was very heavy. Her eyes were wet. Although she was also a poor child, she had never seen such a simple school. Ding Hao's eyes were also red. Even the indifferent Mika Kito was moved. Xia Dong said sincerely, "Mr. Ning, I admire you very much. The children are lucky to have a teacher like you." Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 96. Chief Editor Xia, you're flattering me. In fact, I'm also from the city. After working in the city for a while, I've seen too much hypocrisy and deception. I felt that life was boring and meaningless. One day, I walked here with my bag and saw these children. Although they were poor, they had never given up chasing their dreams. So, I stayed. In fact, it was these children who changed me. I should say that I'm very lucky to have met them. Xia Dong was very moved. She decided to do an exclusive interview with Ning Feng so that more people would pay attention to his deeds. Ning Feng smiled embarrassedly. Chief Editor Xia, the children have finished the artwork you mentioned. Do you want to have a look now? Okay, please lead the way. Ning Feng took them to the small yard behind the school. When they saw the things placed in the yard, the three of them were immediately shocked. In the yard, there were 12 hand-woven animals neatly placed. They were the size of real animals. The smallest was a mouse, and the largest was a cow. These animals were lined up in the order of the 12 zodiac signs. They stood lifelike in this narrow yard. Ning Feng introduced, these are the 12 zodiac signs. All of them are woven with willow branches. The willow branches were picked by the children from the river. These animals were also woven by them. Ding Hao frantically pressed the shutter and praised, this is incredible. Chief Editor, look at this cow. It's as if it's alive. These children are still so young. How can they have such good craftsmanship? Ning Feng smiled proudly. Because the people living in this land have relied on weaving for a living for generations. The children also began to learn this skill from an early age. Xia Dong was shocked and moved. It must not be easy to weave the 12 zodiac signs in 3 days. Ning Feng said, the children said that they must not lose face for the school and their hometown. Even if they don't eat or sleep, they must complete the task. Xia Dong's eyes flashed with tears as she firmly said, Teacher Ning, don't worry. We will definitely do a good job in this interview and let more people see the current situation of Yutong Elementary School. We will let the school receive help from society so that the children can concentrate on their studies. Chief Editor Xia, we are relieved to hear your words. You are the great benefactor of our Yutong Primary School. Ning Feng bowed to Xia Dong with red eyes. Xia Dong hurriedly supported him. Teacher Ning, you're too much. We still want to interview a few children. Please arrange it for us. The 2 children who were interviewed were the ones with the best academic results but the poorest family background. They deliberately changed into clean clothes, washed their faces, combed their hair, and faced the camera. They sat stiffly and did not dare to move. Outside the window, a group of children lay on the ground and watched curiously, but no one said a word. Don't be nervous. Xia Dong comforted them. She wanted them to relax, but she did not expect them to be even more nervous. She changed her approach and said with a smile, I have 2 children too. They are less than 5 years old and have just started kindergarten. 2 days ago, their teacher taught them a children's song. Let me sing it for you. Mika Kito's deep eyes fell on her. She did not know what she wanted to do. Ding Hao's face was bitter. He wanted to cover his ears, but unfortunately, he did not have a 3rd or 4th hand. Under the banyan tree by the pond, cicadas are calling for summer. Her voice was soft and clear. She sang the familiar childhood. Ding Hao's eyes widened. It was different. It was different from the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves in the KTV. The chief editor sang beautifully and beautifully. Xia Dong sang as if she was deeply immersed in it. Just as everyone's emotions were stirred by her, she suddenly stopped and said with a smile, Is there anyone who can sing? Can you sing with me? Ning Feng had taught the children this song before, so they all knew how to sing it. They could not help but sing along with her. The 2 children who were interviewed also sang along. After the song, the children all smiled and their nervousness dissipated. Ding Hao gave Xia Dong a thumbs up. The information obtained from the interview was enough to make people weep. Of the 2 children, one was from a single-parent family. He had lost his father when he was young. His mother sold herbs for his living and education. He had to walk more than 10 kilometers to school every day just to go home and help his mother pick herbs after school. The other child had 3 younger sisters. She was the oldest girl. At the beginning of the year, her parents did not allow her to go to school. She knelt on the ground and begged for a day and a night. Finally, her parents agreed to let her go to school, but she had to pay for her tuition and living expenses. Because her family was too poor to pay for it, she had to go to town every weekend to pick up scraps and beg on the streets to earn money for her tuition and living expenses. There were several times when Xia Dong could not control her emotions and choked. Ning Feng was right. These children had strong souls. No matter how big the disaster was, they were always tenacious. She should learn from them. After the interview, Xia Dong was in a heavy mood. On the way back, she did not say a word. Nowadays, people felt that they were the most miserable people in the world. In fact, it was just because they had not seen anyone more miserable than themselves. Xia Dong decided to change the fate of the children in Yutong Primary School. In order to expand the influence of the magazine and let more people see the interview, Xia Dong deliberately greeted her friends in the circle and asked them to help promote it. She also asked Bailey Yun to persuade Lin Weiwei, the Queen of Heaven, to say at the press conference, "I like to read Charm magazine very much. I buy every issue," so when the new issue of the magazine came out, it immediately caused a sensation. Many readers called with tears in their eyes and asked about the situation of Yutong Primary School. They also proposed to donate to the children. Xia Dong struck while the iron was hot. She pulled strings with the relevant departments and called for a donation to Yutong Primary School. Charm magazine took the lead and proposed to donate 500,000 yuan. Xia Dong also donated 100,000 yuan in her own name. Mika Keto donated 1 million yuan in the name of Bo Ao Group. Xia Dong found Bailey Han's check of 100,000 yuan and donated it in his own name without hesitation. The impact of this donation was very wide. Even the finance department of Shenghao Group made a budget for this batch of funds. Linda sent the budget of the finance department to Bailey Han. Bailey Han asked, "What's the matter with this donation?" The Prince Charming CEO was busy preparing for his wedding during this period of time, so he did not pay attention to the public welfare. Linda explained to him, "President, Charm magazine recently did an exclusive interview." Bailey Han interrupted her, "It has something to do with Charm magazine?" "Yes." "Return it." "Ah." Bailey Han's face darkened. "Return this financial budget. Our company will not participate in any activities related to Charm magazine in the future." Yes, he did not want to be involved in anything related to that woman. Bailey Han's face was cold and heartless. After a while, he received a call. "Mr. Bailey, I'm a staff member of the Public Welfare Fund. Thank you very much for your personal donation to Yutong Primary School." Bailey Han frowned. "I think you've got it wrong. I didn't donate." "It can't be wrong. We received your 100,000 yuan donation check today. Thank you very much for your support to the education industry." The staff member gushed about his gratitude and respect to Bailey Han. Bailey Han's frown deepened. 100,000 yuan? Check. Could it be that this check was the one he let that woman deal with? What nonsense was this donation to Yutong Primary School? Bailey Han said, "I'm very busy." He interrupted the staff member and hung up the phone. He hated things that were out of his control. Therefore, he opened the web page and logged into Charm magazine's official website. He finally understood what this donation was all about. Originally, he entered the website with a crusade mentality. However, after reading the interview with Yutong Primary School and seeing the shocking photos and words, he fell silent. He called Linda in through the internal phone. "The financial department just sent over the donation budget. I've approved it. Inform the financial department to add another 1,000,000 yuan." Linda's eyes lit up. "Yes, President." Bailey Han leaned back in his chair. His gaze fell on the photos and he felt a little complicated. "Xia Dong, you're a woman full of lies. So, you have a heart too?" In just 1 week, the magazine alone had raised 5 million yuan in donations. When Ning Feng heard the news, he was so excited that he shed tears of gratitude. Because of the rainy season, the school's buildings were too simple and crude. They were afraid that it would be dangerous, so the local government decided to use the donations to build a 3-story building first. Mika Kito said that the BOA group would build the building for the school free of charge in the shortest time possible. The local government and the villagers were grateful. On the day of the groundbreaking ceremony, the local government invited Mika Kito, Xia Dong, and a dozen other well-known donors to attend. Unfortunately, Sanka Group encountered some problems, and Mika Kito had to rush back to deal with it. That's why he missed the ceremony. Mika Kito left in a hurry the night before the ceremony. Before he left, he asked Jiang Dao to stay behind to protect Xia Dong. Jiang Dao is Mika Kito's assistant in name. Since Mika Kito is not around, Jiang Dao can take his place and attend the ceremony with Xia Dong. Many famous people attended the ceremony, including the mayor and the secretary of the municipal party committee. The two of them shook Xia Dong's hand to express their gratitude. Of course, Xia Dong did not dare to claim the credit. She pushed all the credit to teacher Ning Feng and the kind-hearted people who donated. Because of this interview, Xia Dong became a little famous. The CEOs of large corporations all came over to greet her politely. She smiled and responded to them one by one. She was generous and cheerful, and had the temperament of a strong woman. She did not know that her every move was being watched by Bailey Han. Bailey Han did not like to show his face in public, and he expected that Xia Dong would also attend. So when he received the invitation, he wanted to refuse. However, old Bailey's wife did not see it that way. She insisted that he accept it. She said that it was a good thing to do charity, and he should treat it as accumulating blessings for Xiao Yi. It was not until the organizers arranged for the ribbon-cutting ceremony that Xia Dong found out that Bailey Han was also there. Bailey Han stood beside her with a pair of scissors in his hand. He was focused on cutting the red silk without looking sideways. From the time he went on stage until he left, he did not look at her at all. After the groundbreaking ceremony, everyone left in their cars. Xia Dong was not in a hurry to leave. She said a few words to Jiang Dao and Lilith. Then, she took out her bags from the trunk of the car and went to the classroom to check on the children. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 97. The children were in self-study. Someone with sharp eyes saw her from afar and shouted, "Auntie Xia." All the children rushed out of the classroom and surrounded her, calling her Auntie Xia. Every little face had the brightest smile. Xia Dong smiled and said, "Quick, take a look at what I've brought for you." The children took a step back and she put down the bags in her hands. There were 3 bags filled with toys. There were dolls, electric trains, car models, Rubik's cubes, 9 consecutive rings, all kinds of things. There were also 2 bags filled with notebooks, pens, and other school supplies. The children cheered and pounced on her. They surrounded Xia Dong, cheering and jumping. Bailey Han had wanted to walk around and check out the school's situation, but he didn't expect to see this scene. Frankly speaking, Xia Dong had a very beautiful face, especially her eyes. When she smiled, they were filled with passion and contagion. At this moment, she was smiling very happily. She stroked the children's hair and said something from time to time. Bailey Han's eyes darkened. Finally, he turned around and left. After a while, Jiang Dao and Lilith came to look for her. Xia Dong said goodbye to the children. "Children, I'm leaving. You have to study hard and grow up to be useful people to society." The last sentence was actually a little broad. She smiled and changed the way she spoke. Study hard and change your own fate. Change the fate of your family. Auntie Xia will remember it. The children's little faces were filled with determination. They reluctantly sent her to the village entrance and watched her get into the car. The car drove far away, but they were still standing there. Lilith looked at them and sighed. "Chief Editor, I suddenly feel that we've done something very great." Xia Dong smiled. Do you suddenly feel that you have motivation in life? Lilith nodded vigorously. Xia Dong laughed heartily. Jiang Dao, who was driving, also smiled. However, something unfortunate happened. When they drove for more than an hour and entered another small town, the car broke down. Fortunately, it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. There was the only car repair shop in town. The young man had never repaired such a high-end car before. After checking it, he helplessly spread out his hands. I'm sorry, I can't repair it. I don't have the parts here. Xia Dong asked, Sir, is there a bus to Sidia here? The young man scratched his head. Yes, but there are only 2 trips. One at 8 in the morning and the other at 2 in the afternoon. It's already 3 in the afternoon. Obviously, you've missed it. Then, is there a private car going to a city? The young man smiled embarrassedly. No, City A is too far away, and the road to City A is very difficult to walk. None of the drivers are willing to go. Lilith stomped her feet anxiously. Then what should I do? It's my grandma's birthday today. I must rush back. Xia Dong patted her shoulder and comforted her. Don't worry, let's think of other ways. Jiang Dao asked the young man why the car broke down, and then called the car repair shop in City A. The shop assistant said that the problem was not serious, but he needed to change a part. He also said that it would take at least 4 hours to get here. Jiang Dao asked them to come as soon as possible. Now, they could only wait for the car to be repaired. The young man was very enthusiastic. He brought 3 chairs from the house and invited them to sit down. He even made tea. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Xia Dong suddenly saw a Maybach speeding over. It was Bailey Han's car. She had sat in it before, and she remembered the license plate number. She stood up abruptly, waving her hands in the air as she shouted, Stop the car! Stop the car! Bailey Han saw someone waving at him from the side of the road. It was Xia Dong. He stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. Xia Dong covered her face in disappointment. Bailey Han saw her bending over and covering her face in the rearview mirror. She looked very disappointed, and he actually felt bad. His hands unconsciously slowed down, and then slowed down again and again. Finally, he stopped about 100 to 200 meters away from her. Lilith shouted excitedly, It stopped, it stopped. Chief editor, look, the car stopped. Xia Dong looked up in surprise. The Maybach had really stopped, although it was quite far from where they were now. Bailey Han waited for a while, but there was still no movement from the group. He was irritated. Damn idiot, didn't she understand his hint? It had been a minute, and he still hadn't driven away. So, he should be waiting for them. Xia Dong finally reacted and said to Jiang Dao, stay here and wait for the people from the repair shop to come. Lilith and I will go back to City A, but, no buts, Jiang Dao. Bailey Han is a good person. He won't do anything bad to me, so don't worry. Jiang Dao, I'll leave this to you. Be careful. Lilith, let's go. After Xia Dong gave her instructions, she pulled Lilith and hurried to Bailey Han's side. Before she left, she didn't forget to thank the young man. Because of the baby in her belly, Xia Dong didn't dare to run too fast. She was also worried that Bailey Han would change his mind at the last minute and step on the gas pedal to escape, so she said to Lilith, run faster and go over first. I can't walk too fast, so I'll be 1 step behind you. Lilith had the same worry and immediately raised her hands in agreement. Okay, chief editor, be careful. I'll be there right away. Lilith ran over at the speed of the 800-meter long-distance run when she was in college. After a few minutes, Xia Dong walked over leisurely. Bailey Han's face was as black as the bottom of a pot that had been burning for more than 10 years. As for the explanation, Lilith must have already explained it, so Xia Dong didn't say anything more. She smiled politely and said, Mr. Bailey, sorry to trouble you. Bailey Han pursed his lips and ignored her, but he unlocked the back door. Xiaodong and Lilith hurriedly got in. It was finally safe. Bailey Han's face became even darker. Did he look like the kind of person who would change his mind at the last minute? Yes, you are. The atmosphere in the car was very gloomy. No one spoke. Lilith didn't dare, Xiaodong didn't want to, and Bailey Han didn't care. The car drove in silence for an hour and drove to a small dirt bridge. The bridge was about 70 meters long and 7 to 8 meters wide. A farm tractor rumbled on the bridge. Behind the tractor sat a young woman with a child in her arms. Their car also drove onto the bridge. When the tractor heard the sound of the car, it purposely made way for them. Just as Bailey Han overtook the car, Xiaodong suddenly realized that something was wrong. The bridge was shaking. Several large cracks appeared on the bridge, like vines, slowly spreading from one end of the bridge to the other. It was like a scene from a disaster movie. Xiaodong grabbed the seatbelt and reminded Bailey Han in a panic, "Bailey Han, the bridge is cracking." Bailey Han also saw that the car was about to reach the center of the bridge. There were still more than 50 meters before they would reach the other end of the bridge. It was impossible for them to retreat. The soil bridge was shaking more and more violently. Through the rearview mirror, he could see that the bridge deck at the back of the bridge was slowly collapsing into the river, causing the river water to gush and splash. The tractor was also driving frantically. The desperate cries of the woman and child resounded through the sky, but it was too late. In less than 10 seconds, they would be buried in the river with the car. And he had to race against time to drive to the other side of the bridge. These thoughts just flashed past his mind. Bailey Han calmly said to Xiaodong and Lilith, who were sitting in the back, "Close your eyes." Xiaodong quickly closed her eyes. Lilith was so scared that she almost lost the ability to think. She also followed the order and closed her eyes in a daze. Bailey Han stepped hard on the accelerator and the car shot out like an arrow. 1 meter behind the car, the bridge had already collapsed. As the car moved forward, the bridge collapsed, chasing after them. Gravel and soil were constantly falling into the river. The rumbling sound of the collapse was constantly transmitted to Xiaodong's ears. Her heart was in a mess. She grabbed the seatbelt with one hand and firmly protected her abdomen with the other. The bridge in front could no longer bear the weight of the car. The Maybach car began to tilt, and it was getting worse and worse. Bailey Han's expression didn't change. He stared at the open space at the bridgehead and didn't hesitate to step on the accelerator and rush up. Xiaodong could feel the rapid turbulence of the car with her eyes closed. She broke out in a cold sweat and her back was cold. She was so nervous that all the muscles in her body began to stiffen. The crack had already extended to the bridgehead and the 2 rear wheels of the car began to slowly fall. Bailey Han's forehead was also sweating, but his expression was still calm. He stepped hard on the accelerator and accelerated to the maximum. The car leaped forward and rushed onto the road at the bridgehead. After driving for some distance and confirming that it was safe, he let Xiaodong and the others open their eyes. Xiaodong turned her head and looked back. The entire bridge had collapsed into the river. The stones and soil slowly sank into the river, and she could vaguely see sections of the broken bridge. Lilith let out a wah and burst into tears. Xiaodong was still scared. Although she didn't show it on her face, her voice was trembling. Did the tractor fall? Bailey Han looked into her eyes. Yes. Xiaodong's body began to tremble. She wanted to take out her phone to call the police, but because her fingers were trembling too much, she kept making mistakes when pressing numbers. Bailey Han grabbed her hand and took the phone from her to call the police. Lilith's crying was too loud. Bailey Han had to get out of the car and make a call. He clearly described the situation at the scene. And the tractor that had fallen into the river. By the time he came back, Xiaodong had calmed down a lot. She had to calm down. Being emotional was not good for the children. She asked Bailey Han, "Will they still be alive?" Bailey Han knew that she was asking about the family of 3 on the tractor. He remained silent and didn't answer. The answer was self-evident. Falling from such a high place, with stones and soil falling continuously, and the rushing river, how could they still be alive? Xia Dong's eyes were filled with sadness. In the face of disaster, humans were very fragile. Xia Dong pulled the crying Lilith into her arms and hugged her tightly. She comforted her gently. Lilith, don't be afraid. It's all right now. Don't be afraid. Under her gentle comforting voice, Lilith's trembling body gradually calmed down. She also gradually regained consciousness. Her eyes were filled with tears. She looked up at Xia Dong. Chief Editor, are we still alive? Xia Dong nodded firmly. We're still alive. In fact, we're going to live better than before. After experiencing life and death, one would become braver. The 2 of them gradually calmed down. Bailey Han said slowly, let's leave this place as soon as possible. Xia Dong nodded silently. Come and see. Songshu 566. Chapter 98. Bailey Han glanced at her and started the car. After driving for almost an hour, the police cars and ambulances drove in the direction of the collapsed bridge. The last police car stopped them and asked about the situation. After learning that they were the ones who called the police took down their contact information and said that they would be invited to record their statements when they returned to the city. Bailey Han and the other 2 were very cooperative. In the end, the police bowed to the 3 of them and got into the car to chase after the police car in front. Xia Dong then remembered that with the bridge collapsed, the people at the car repair shop would not be able to cross the river and repair the car. Similarly, Jiang Dao would not be able to return to the city. She quickly contacted Jiang Dao and briefly told him what had happened. After Jiang Dao heard it, his back was instantly drenched in cold sweat and his heart trembled. Luckily, Miss Xia was fine. Otherwise, when the boss came back, he would definitely be killed. After a long while, Jiang Dao said, Miss Xia, it's good that you're fine. You don't have to worry about the car. I'll think of a way to return to the city tomorrow. Please take care of yourself. Okay, I got it. You be careful too. It was already past 9 at night when they returned to the city. Lilith had calmed down a lot. She said that she would take a taxi back and asked Bailey Han to drop her off at the intersection. Only Bailey Han and Xia Dong were left in the car. Bailey Han glanced at her. After a while, he said, tell me the address. I'll send you back. No need. I'll take a taxi back too. I've already troubled you today. Bailey Han emphasized, tell me the address. Xia Dong knew that he was a very stubborn person. If he insisted on something, he would definitely do it. She could only tell him the address. Bailey Han drove her to the neighborhood without a word. When she got out of the car, her legs were a little weak. She tried to stand straight and smiled. Thank you for today. Bailey Han said lightly, go upstairs. Xia Dong nodded and walked step by step to the elevator. Bailey Han watched her figure disappear into the corridor before he started the car and drove away. After entering the elevator, Xia Dong's fake calmness collapsed. She leaned against the elevator and watched as the numbers continued to rise. Finally, it stopped at her floor. The moment the elevator door opened, the smile returned to her face, and she pressed the doorbell of her house. Mommy, you're back. Xiao Guai threw herself into her arms. Mom, why are you so late? Did anything happen on the way home? Xiao Bao had calculated the schedule. His mother should have reached home more than an hour ago. It's okay. Mommy was playing with those kids for a while, so I was delayed. Have you guys eaten? We've already eaten, and the nanny has already bathed us. Okay, then Mommy will send you back to your room to rest. Xia Dong carried her daughter. Gigai, did you listen to Auntie and take your medicine today? Yes, take your medicine. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? It was stuffy here in the afternoon, but I'm fine now. Xiao Guai pointed to her chest. Xia Dong hugged her tightly and said gently, if you feel uncomfortable in the future, you have to tell mommy immediately. If mommy isn't around, you have to tell auntie, okay? Yes, I know. Xia Dong put her daughter on the bed and covered her with a blanket. She told her daughter jokes to cheer her up. Suddenly, she said, Mommy, I really want to go back to kindergarten. Xia Dong stroked her daughter's hair gently and said gently, Gigai, you're sick now, so you can't go to kindergarten for the time being. Let's go back when you're better, okay? Xiao Guai pursed her lips and her big eyes were filled with tears. She said pitifully, but the garden party is coming, and I want to perform on stage with brother. Xia Dong gently wiped the tears from her face and said softly, Gigai, Mommy will tell the teacher that you can't go to kindergarten before you're better, but on the day of the garden party, I'll let you perform on stage, okay? Xiao Guai shook her arm and looked at her with tears in her eyes. Mommy, when will I be better? When can I go to kindergarten? Xia Dong squatted in front of her bed and hugged her tightly. Gigai, believe Mommy, it won't be long. 10 months, in 10 months, you can go back to kindergarten. 10 months, it seems like a long time, not long at all. Xia Dong stroked her head and smiled. Gigai, you've been in Mommy's stomach for 10 months, but Mommy thinks that it's a very short time. Really? She looked at her with her big eyes and looked so serious. Really, Mommy never lies to Xiao Guai. Xiao Guai smiled through his tears. His smile was bright and dazzling. He nodded vigorously. Okay, then I'll listen to Mommy obediently. I'll go back to kindergarten after I recover. You're Mommy's good baby. Mommy will sing for you. Xia Dong stroked her daughter's hair and sang a lullaby softly. After 10 minutes, her daughter fell asleep. She bent over and kissed her daughter's forehead and gently closed the door. The light in Xiao Bao's room was still on. Xia Dong knocked on the door and pushed it open before he could answer. Xiao Bao hurriedly closed his laptop and rolled his eyes cutely. Mom, you're invading my privacy again. Xia Dong smiled mischievously. No, I didn't. I knocked. But I didn't say, come in. Xiao Bao whined with a sour face. Xia Dong sat on his bed and pretended to peek at his laptop. Xiao Bao hugged the laptop and wiggled his little butt away from her. He said angrily, I won't let you see it. Xia Dong laughed and said, even if you don't let me see it, I know what you're busy with. Are you worried about what to prepare for the garden party and how to dress up Bailey? Are you searching for information online or asking others what to prepare for? Xiao Bao's eyes widened. Finally, he turned his head away awkwardly and puffed up his face. No. Forget it. Since you're not, then I'll keep my good idea. Oh, what a pity. My peerless good idea. Xia Dong pretended to stretch and stood up to walk to the door. I'm so sleepy. I'd better go back to sleep, Mommy. A certain child quickly jumped off the bed and hugged her thigh. He rubbed against her without any restraint. Mommy, what good idea do you have? Tell me. His soft and gentle voice really made one feel tender and protective towards him. Xia Dong glanced at him and sighed sadly. But I don't respect my son's privacy. No. Mommy, you're the most democratic and respect my privacy the most. Then you're not worried about the program, Mommy. The little bun-like face pouted. He raised his little chin and looked at her pitifully with watery eyes. He complained plaintively, Mommy, you're bullying me, boo-hoo. Okay. I won't tease you anymore. Xia Dong was helpless against her son's ability to act pitiful. She bent down and carried his little body to the bed. She said, my idea is very simple. It's cosplay. Cosplay? Xiao Bao's eyes widened. That's right. Xia Dong rubbed her chin and looked at her son up and down. Good son, there's also a child as talented as you in anime. His name is Conan Adagawa. I know. It's the famous Detective Conan. Xiao Bao's eyes lit up at the reminder. Mom, your idea is unprecedented. Thank you, Mom. Xiao Bao kissed her on the cheek. At noon the next day, Xia Dong had just finished lunch and returned to the office when she received a call from Jiang Dao. Miss Xia, I've returned to the city and am accompanying Miss Gigai at your house. So fast. It must be very tiring. Jiang Dao, you should take a rest first. No, I'm fine. According to Jiang Dao, he experienced a series of twists and turns from taking a bus to taking a boat to taking a bus to returning to the city. As for the off-road vehicle that broke down halfway, its fate was even more complicated. In the end, it was towed back to City A by the towing company using a ferry. Xia Dong paused and asked, when you crossed the river where the bridge collapsed, the family of 3 fell into the river. What happened to them? When they were salvaged, they had already stopped breathing. I heard that their family has already claimed their bodies. Although she already knew the answer, Xia Dong still felt a little sad when she heard it confirmed. In the afternoon, the police station called her and asked her and Lilith to make a statement. When Xia Dong and Lilith arrived at the police station, they found that Bailey Han was also there. Bailey Han glanced at them and nodded coldly. Xia Dong also nodded at him. The police recorded her basic information and said politely, Miss Xia, please tell us what happened at that time. The car drove for about 20 meters, and I found that the bridge was shaking. Xia Dong tried hard to recall the situation at that time, and her fingers involuntarily clenched. Lilith's emotions fluctuated even more. Her voice was trembling, and she almost burst into tears. Bailey Han was very calm. Even the police couldn't help but praise him after listening to his account. Mr. Bailey, your psychological quality is very good. If you didn't make a prompt decision, I'm afraid that something bad would have happened to you. Bailey Han smiled faintly and didn't say anything. After making a statement last night, the 3 of them walked out of the police station. Just as they walked to the gate, a Lamborghini stopped. Su Yunxian hurriedly got out of the car and jogged to Bailey Han. She said anxiously, Han, I just called your office. Linda said that you were at the police station. What happened? Bailey Han comforted her. Don't worry, it's nothing. I'm just making a statement. Didn't you go to the groundbreaking ceremony of Yutong Elementary School yesterday? What happened that you need to make a statement? Bailey Han didn't want her to worry. He only said, something small happened on the way back. What the hell happened? Bailey Han sighed and said, the bridge we passed collapsed. Collapsed? Su Yunxian's beautiful eyes surged with panic. She pulled him to look left and right. She didn't find any injuries on him, and then she calmed down. Her eyes flashed. We mean? Su Yunxian then noticed that there were 2 people standing beside Bailey Han. They were Xia Dong and her assistant. Su Yunxian immediately understood. It turned out that Han and Xia Dong went to the groundbreaking ceremony together. She smiled and looked at Xia Dong. Her eyes were a little cold. So Miss Xia went to the groundbreaking ceremony with Han. Xia Dong said faintly, Miss Su, let me correct you. I was invited to the groundbreaking ceremony, and so was Mr. Bailey. We are independent individuals. There is no such thing as together. So it's like this. Su Yunxian's expression didn't change. She smiled indifferently and said, Miss Xia, Han and I are going to get married on the 15th of next month. If you can come to our wedding, we will be very happy. Isn't that right, Han? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 99. Bailey Han's eyes narrowed. There was no expression on his face, but he clenched his fists. Soon, he loosened them and said, yes. Xia Dong smiled calmly. Congratulations. I'm very happy to be able to attend your wedding. Thank you, Su Yunxian said softly as she held Bailey Han's arm elegantly. Han, let's go back. Bailey Han glanced at Xia Dong and got into the car with Su Yunxian. Bailey Han sat in the driver's seat and Su Yunxian sat beside him. She said sadly, Han, why didn't you tell me that the bridge collapsed? It's such a big thing. If I didn't find out, were you planning to keep it from me? I just didn't want you to worry. I'm fine now, aren't I? Su Yunxian felt wronged. What if something happened? You and Xia Dong went through life and death together, but you don't even want to tell me the truth. Bailey Han suddenly braked and turned to look at her with a serious expression. Yunxian, Xia Dong and I just happened to meet on the road. Her car broke down, so I gave her a ride. Nothing happened between us. Okay, I know. I was just too worried about you. I said the wrong thing. Don't be angry, okay? Su Yunxian hugged his arm and acted coquettishly. Bailey Han smiled. Don't tell my family about this, especially Grandma. I don't want them to worry. Do you understand? Okay, I'll keep it a secret. Su Yunxian leaned into his arms and said, Han, I was really scared just now. Promise me that you won't hide anything from me in the future. In a low voice, he said, okay. She looked up and smiled. Do you have time this afternoon? My wedding dress has been sent over from France. Can you accompany me to try on the wedding dress? Bailey Han frowned. I have a meeting in the afternoon. How about tonight? Come to my house tonight. As expected of a famous French designer, Su Yunxian's wedding dress was very beautiful. It was bare-shouldered, revealing the slender and beautiful lines of her neck. Bits of broken diamonds were inlaid in the chest area. The hemline of the dress was a high-grade French snow-white transparent chiffon. It looked solemn and beautiful, like a dream. Bailey Han was very satisfied. Su Yunxian pulled him aside and took a photo of herself with her phone. When she went back to her room to change her clothes, she sent a text message to Su Xingchen. In the message, she said, Xingchen, help me see if this wedding dress is pretty. 10 minutes later, she received a reply from Su Xingchen. It was very beautiful. Sister Yunxian, I have a gift for you. It will be mailed to your office tomorrow. Please sign for it the next day. Su Yunxian opened the gift Su Xingchen gave her in her office. Her face was pale. It was a medical report. It showed that the person involved was pregnant for 2 weeks. The name of the person involved was Xia Dong. This wasn't a big deal. The problem was that there was a stack of photos under the medical report. They were all secretly taken by Xia Dong and Bailey Han. It seemed that they were seducing each other. First, Xiao Tianxing and Bailey Han were talking about something. Then, Bailey Han looked at the direction of the bar counter and walked towards the private room. Then, Xiao Tianxing helped a drunk woman from the bar counter into the private room. Although the photo only showed the back of that woman, even if she turned into ashes, Su Yunxian would recognize her. She was Xia Dong. According to the date of the photo, it coincided with the date of Xia Dong's pregnancy. Was this a coincidence, or was it true? Su Yunxian's face was pale. She leaned against the office chair. Her phone rang. It was Su Xingchen. Sister Yunxian, did you receive the gift? I took those photos with my own hands. Also, I noticed that Brother Han stayed in the private room for more than half an hour. Why don't you ask his servants if he came home that night? Su Yunxian's laughter sounded so innocent and considerate, but Su Yunxian knew that her cousin was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Su Yunxian said calmly, this is between me and Han. You don't have to worry about it. After speaking, she hung up the phone. The photos in front of her and Su Xingchen's words were like the venom of a poisonous snake. They corroded Su Yunxian's rationality. She gritted her teeth and dialed the number in Bailey Han's villa. The housekeeper picked up. The housekeeper was steady and experienced. He was very trusted by Bailey Han. If she asked him rashly, he wouldn't tell her the truth. Su Yunxian used a roundabout tactic. Housekeeper, I remember that I forgot a piece of jewelry in Han's bedroom on the night of June 2nd. Please have someone keep it well. I'll come and get it when I have time. The other side of the phone was silent for a while. Then, he said, Miss Su, if I remember correctly, you didn't come to the villa on June 2nd. Did I remember wrongly? I still remember that Han came back very late that night. He didn't come home until 1 in the morning. Miss Su, you must have remembered wrongly. Young master didn't come home on the night of June 2nd. He only came back the next day. You said that it might be June 12th, don't worry, I'll have someone keep the jewelry well. Su Yunxian's hand gripped the phone tightly. Her knuckles turned white. She smiled and said, I see. Housekeeper, thank you. June 2nd was the date of the photo shoot. Han didn't come home as expected. Su Yunxian's mind was filled with the scene of Bailey Han and Xia Dong entangled in bed. She slumped against the back of the chair and didn't move for a long time. She wanted to directly question Bailey Han, but she held back. They were going to hold their wedding in half a month. She didn't want to complicate things because of this. Her head hurt. What should she do? Su Yunxian looked at herself in the mirror in pain. After about 5 minutes, she finally calmed down and dialed a number. A voice came from the phone. Sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service. She hung up the phone. Soon, she received a call from an unknown number. A man's deep voice came through. I'm your godfather. Godfather, what's the best way to get rid of a woman's child without getting into trouble? It's an accident. No one will know. Su Yunxian smiled. Very good. I'll reward you with 2 million yuan. Within 5 days, find an assassin to help me get rid of the child in this woman's belly. She didn't want her to die for the time being. Since she wanted the child, she would destroy her. Only in this way would she suffer more. She sent Xia Dong's photo to the man nicknamed Godfather and reminded him, as far as I know, there's a powerful person behind her. I hope your people can really do it without anyone knowing. Don't worry. I've been in this business for many years, and I've never failed. Godfather was an intelligence officer of an underground assassin organization. All the assassins in a city bought information and received tasks through him. As long as he released the task of the employer, a large number of assassins would come to him. Then he would choose an assassin to complete the task according to the employer's requirements. Of course, no matter whether the task was successful or not, Godfather would take 10% of the reward as commission. No one knew the real identity and face of Godfather. Su Yunxian didn't know either. She got his contact information by chance. Glamour Magazine, Chief Editor's Office. Xia Dong was busy preparing the report of this month. Her right hand habitually touched the cup and found that the tea inside was empty. So she said to Lilith through the internal line, Lilith, please make a cup of tea for me. Lilith quickly came in. When she was about to go out with the teacup, she suddenly thought of something and asked mysteriously, Chief Editor, have you had that in the past 2 days? Xia Dong looked up blankly. What? Lilith smiled. Your period. No. Lilith blinked. That's good. Xia Dong didn't know what she was doing and didn't have time to ask, so she let her be. Soon, Lilith put the brewed tea on her right hand. Xia Dong was almost done preparing the documents and the tea was cold. She picked it up and took a sip. It tasted different from the tea she was used to. She looked at the tea leaves in the teacup and saw that they were very thin red petals. Because she was pregnant, she paid special attention to her diet. When she saw that the tea leaves had changed, she called Lilith over to ask about it. Lilith, what tea is this? It doesn't look like the kind I drink. Lilith smiled and said, Chief Editor, this is saffron. It's good for a woman's health. I see that you don't look too good recently. Drinking saffron can replenish your blood. But people who are on their period and pregnant can't drink it. So I just asked if you were on your period. Xia Dong's hands trembled and she almost overturned the teacup. Although she didn't know much about medicine, she still knew about saffron. In all the harem dramas, there would be concubines who would have a miscarriage because of this thing. Moreover, saffron was tens or even hundreds of times more potent than saffron. Chief editor, what's wrong with you? You don't look well. Are you feeling unwell? Xia Dong forced a smile and said, I've been suffering from insomnia recently, so I'm a little dizzy. But it's okay. I'll go to the hospital later to get some medicine. Then hurry up. The afternoon meeting starts at 4 o'clock. You can still make it. Okay, I'll go after I organize this document. Although she had only taken a sip, Xia Dong was still a little worried and decided to go to the hospital for a checkup. She frowned and said, Lilith, saffron is a very precious herb. How did our editorial department get this? Lilith smiled and said, it was sent by a reader. I heard that she lives in Shangri-La. Her grandfather is a Tibetan doctor, so he sent us saffron and some small gifts. Everyone has one. Chief editor, wait a moment. I'll bring it to you. Lilith brought over a pillow and a small sachet, both of which were handmade in a typical Tibetan style. She explained with a smile, this pillow is filled with dried herbs that help you sleep. It can relieve your insomnia. This small sachet is filled with their specialty spices. I heard that it has the effect of preventing miscarriage. Chief editor, smell it. It smells good. Xia Dong took the sachet and smelled it. The fragrance was not very strong, but it made her feel refreshed. Since it had the effect of preventing miscarriage, she would carry it with her. Maybe it could alleviate the influence of saffron. She put the sachet into her handbag. Taking advantage of the lunch break, Xia Dong went to the hospital. Lin Shihao happened to have time and helped her do a checkup. He said that the fetus was normal and there was no problem. Xia Dong was relieved. She opened her handbag and put the checkup report in. A faint fragrance wafted out of the sachet. Lin Shihao frowned and asked, what's this smell? Xia Dong took out the sachet and handed it to him. It's from this sachet. I heard that it has the effect of preventing miscarriage. Come and take a look, Xinwu 799. Chapter 100. Lin Shihao put it to his nose, closed his eyes, and sniffed it carefully. Suddenly, he stood up and strode out of the door. Xia Dong was puzzled. Shihao, what are you doing? After a minute, Lin Shihao came back. His face was a little pale as he said, I threw away the sachet. Xia Dong was confused. Why? What's wrong with that sachet? Lin Shihao said seriously, there's nothing wrong with the sachet itself, and the perfume inside does have the effect of preventing miscarriage. However, if this perfume is used together with saffron, it will cause a miscarriage. Didn't you say that you drank a sip of saffron at noon? So you have to throw away this sachet quickly. Otherwise, the child will be in danger. Xia Dong's back was covered in cold sweat. She was scared. Fortunately, you found out. How do you know this perfume? Lin Shihao explained, my grandfather is an old Chinese medicine doctor. I learned a lot of pharmacology from him before. This perfume is extracted from a kind of herb. Fortunately, I still remember the smell. Xia Dong was very glad. If it weren't for Lin Shihao, the child would have been in danger. Lin Shihao reminded her, be careful in the future. Don't touch those flowers and plants again. Everything has its opposite. If something that seems to be beneficial to the body is used together with something else, it may cause harm to the body. I understand. I'll be more careful. Shihao, thank you. Xia Dong decided that when she got back, she would get rid of the pillow with the herbs. These few days, Xia Dong felt that her luck was extremely bad. When she was driving, she almost collided with an oncoming truck. She hurriedly turned the steering wheel, but in the end, she still hit the guardrail on the side of the road. Fortunately, the airbag protected her body. Although she was shocked, she managed to adjust her emotions in time. The baby only gave her a stomachache because of his temper, but it was nothing serious. The BMW was damaged and sent for repair. The insurance agent arranged to meet Xia Dong at the cafe next to the company. When she took the elevator, a delivery man pushed a small cart and quickly squeezed in. The narrow space became even narrower with the help of the trolley. Xia Dong had nowhere to retreat, so she stayed close to the trolley. While the elevator was ascending, it suddenly shook, and the boxes stacked on top of the trolley fell toward her. She quickly caught the boxes with her hands, but the boxes below loosened and hit her abdomen. She quickly raised her leg and used the strength of her leg to block the box. "What's wrong with you? This miss was almost hit by your cart." The people around finally reacted and helped Xia Dong carry the box while scolding the delivery man. The delivery man apologized profusely. "Forget it, you didn't do it on purpose." Xia Dong sighed weakly and rubbed her knee that was hurting. Accidents happened one after another. Xia Dong went to the bathroom and almost fell on her face on the waxed floor. Fortunately, she had practiced martial arts and was agile enough to grab the sink in time. When the light turned green and they crossed the sidewalk, someone rushed over and almost hit her in front of a speeding car. Because the BMW was being repaired, Jiang Dao had been driving her to and from work for the past few days. On this day, Xia Dong went downstairs and found that the driver had changed from Jiang Dao to Mika Keto. Xia Dong was pleasantly surprised. "Brother Shen, you're back from Japan. How's it going?" Beitang Shen's lips curled up. "I've already dealt with it. But why do you look so tired? Did you not sleep well?" Xia Dong did not tell anyone about the unlucky things that had happened recently, including the two children. She did not want them to be depressed. As soon as Mika Keto asked, she began to pour out her grievances. "I don't know what happened, but I've been very unlucky these past few days. I almost got into a car accident while driving, almost got hit by a falling box in the elevator, got hit by someone while walking, and almost fell down in the bathroom." Mika Keto's eyes suddenly narrowed and his expression became serious. Xia, tell me more about it." Affected by his emotions, Xia Dong also became serious and recounted the events of the past few days in detail. After Mika Keto listened, his expression became serious and his eyebrows were mixed with depression. He said slowly, Xia, I don't think these are accidents. It's very likely that someone did it." It was not like Xia Dong had never been schemed against before. She knew that someone was trying to harm her behind her back. After hearing what he said, she also felt that there were many suspicious points. Even the gift from the so-called readers of Shangri-La was starting to sound suspicious. What is this person's motive? Did they want to kill her? But some of the methods were too childish, such as waxing the floor. Did they expect her to fall to her death? No, wait. Xia Dong suddenly widened her eyes and exclaimed excitedly, "Children. Their target is children." Mika Keto's eyes flashed with admiration. He nodded and said, "That's right. Since the saffron incident, the other party has been weaving a trap and waiting for you to jump into it." He was still a little scared and looked deeply at her. "Fortunately, you have good skills and good luck. Xia, from today onwards, I will send someone to secretly protect you. He has learned ninjutsu and is very good at disguising and hiding. He will usually disguise himself as anyone and lurk around you. When you are in danger, he will immediately come out to protect you. His name is Lu Xing and he will only listen to you." Xia Dong didn't know that Lu Xing was the best assassin in the Senka group and had been sent by Mika Keto to protect her. Su Yunxian was furious and roared into the phone, "It's been 5 days. You haven't completed the mission. Godfather, didn't you say that there would be no problem? Now that the mission has failed, how are you going to explain it?" The man said in a low voice, "Give me 1 more day. I promise to complete the mission." Su Yunxian sneered, what if it fails again? I won't take a single cent from the 2 million and I'll give you a killing job. You can request a mission at any time. Okay, you have to keep your word. I, Godfather, have never ruined my own reputation. Just as the other party was about to hang up, Su Yunxian suddenly said, wait, I suddenly changed my mind. I have a better way to deal with her. She lowered her voice and told him her plan. Then, she made a mysterious call and said in English, darling, I want to borrow your bliss. The person on the other end of the phone said coldly, how do you know about the existence of the bliss? She chuckled. Darling, don't be so nervous. Since we are already partners, you have to trust me. As long as you help me get rid of the person I don't like, I will naturally help you get what you want. In order to thank the community for their donations to Yutong Primary School, the Charity Foundation specially held a charity cocktail party. As the organizer of the event, Xia Dong was invited to attend the cocktail party. There were many famous people at the cocktail party, including Su Yunxian and Bailey Han. Su Yunxian was holding Bailey Han's arm. Su Yunxian was wearing a white evening gown, while Bailey Han was wearing a white tuxedo. They were a perfect match. Their arrival attracted everyone's attention. Xia Dong also followed the crowd's gaze and looked over. However, she only took a glance and looked away. Bailey Han immediately saw Xia Dong standing beside Mika Keto. She was wearing a dark purple off-shoulder evening gown. Her hair was combed into a bun with pearl hairpins and a pearl necklace around her slender neck, which perfectly complemented the pearl hairpins. Mika Keto lowered her head and whispered something to her. She smiled and her eyes were like rippling waves. It was a beautiful sight. Bailey Han suddenly felt that this scene was a little dazzling, especially her smile. Han, please. Su Yunxian gently tugged at Bailey Han's arm. What did you just say? Bailey Han was in a daze and didn't hear her at all. Su Yunxian's eyes moved and she smiled. I just said that I want to go over there and say hello to my friends. I'll come over to look for you later, okay? Okay. Bailey Han let go of her hand. Su Yunxian smiled and walked over to her friends. Bailey Han stood there in silence for a moment. Then he took a glass of wine from the waiter's tray and walked over to the balcony. Leaning against the balcony, he looked at the bustling night view and listened to the sounds of drinking in the hall. His heart was in a mess. He pinched his brows. It seemed that as long as he saw that woman, his heart would be in a mess. Did he really like her? After taking a sip of wine, Bailey Han's furrowed brows gradually relaxed. It didn't matter if he liked her or not. It was all in the past. He already had Yunxian. He couldn't abandon her. Xia Dong and Mika Keto stood together and chatted for a while. Then someone came over to greet Mika Keto. Xia Dong knew that they were going to talk about something, so she took the initiative to walk away. She walked down the stairs and arrived at the courtyard. Sitting on a bench in the courtyard, she could see the bright moon in the sky. Xia Dong smiled and enjoyed this moment of tranquility. Suddenly, the sound of crying came from the grass in front of her. From the sound of it, it was a child. Xia Dong asked calmly, "Who's there?" The sound of crying suddenly stopped. There was the sound of rustling in the grass. Then, a small figure crawled out from the grass. With the help of the light, Xia Dong could see clearly that it was a child of 2 or 3 years old. His chubby arms were placed in front of his eyes as he wiped them back and forth. After about 10 seconds, the child stopped wiping his tears and babbled, "Mommy, Mommy," so it was a lost child. Her mother must be very anxious now. Xia Dong walked to the little girl and squatted down. She said gently, "I'm not your mommy, but I can take you to your mommy. Can you tell me your name?" The little girl shook her head. Her face was blank. Xia Dong asked again, "Then do you know your mommy's name?" The little girl smiled brightly. "Mommy." Xia Dong didn't give up. She stroked her soft hair and asked, "Baby, where did you come from? Maybe your mommy is over there. Pointed out to Auntie." The little girl tilted her head and looked at her. After a while, she suddenly stretched out her arm and pointed in the direction of the hall. Xia Dong confirmed, "You came from there?" The little girl nodded. "Looks like your mommy is also here for the charity reception. Let's go find her together." It wasn't convenient for Xia Dong to carry her, so she let her walk beside her. She held her hand and pulled her up the stairs. She immediately ran excitedly towards the hall with her short legs. Xia Dong was worried that she would fall, so she followed closely behind her. As her gaze was fixed on the child, she didn't notice Bailey Han suddenly walking over from the balcony. The two almost collided, but Bailey Han took a step back and avoided her. She smiled embarrassedly. "Sorry." Bailey Han didn't say anything. His cold gaze fell on the little girl beside his leg. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.